What's up, guys, and welcome to Albino Rhino Music. Today we are going to tier list the Beatles albums.
I like riding my bike at night because I get burned in the broad daylight. I'm just a fly down while I'm trying to get home.
So our tier list system ranking works S, A, B, C, D, kind of standard tier list. But to keep conversation interesting, we are only allowed to put two in S, no more than two. So if you love the Beatles, that creates a lot of debating in your head, and also you have to put at least one in every album. So in one album in every tier list. So you have to have at least one in D, C, B, and A as well. So we're going to go through and rank their studio albums, and we'll start chronologically. So we'll start with "Please Please Me," their first 1963 studio album, which is interesting. People like to talk about, I think, the Beatles, like they how they did so much from like 1963 to 1970. When people like look at their albums, you'll see we're going to rank like a ton of albums, but like I think too, like what people don't always realize too is that they were a band for quite a while before that, like from like the late 50s, playing like pubs and like shows where they would play for like hours at a time. So like this
They
first
had two
album,
different drummers. Yeah.
right. Before Ringo, they had a different drummer, and they got Ringo before they even recorded and stuff. And they there's multiple interviews where they talk about like finding Ringo really like set them up, like, and I I think like so they had a lot of time to play together, which can help you with like writing stuff. I'm not saying that it's not amazing what they did in that short amount of time. I'm just saying like this first album, in my opinion, is awesome. I love it. Uh, they put a lot of cover songs on their first few albums, and so that's always gonna, like, when I'm talking about ranking epic albums, which for me the Beatles have epic albums. When we're talking about that, um, and I'm having to put some in C and D, covers really knock it down for me. Because my opinion, my favorite songs on "Please Please Me" is that they're eight singles. Those are definitely, I mean, singles. They're eight songs of their own. Those are
They're
definitely by far,
originals.
yeah, they're originals. Those are my favorite. Except "Twist and
Hmm.
Shout" is an awesome version of "Twist and Shout," right? But I
Yes.
mean, the originals are my favorite. And "Please Please Me" is such a good song. But anyway, uh, because it's their first album, which was amazing. But I just, it didn't have anything. It did. There's so much to come with them. So much to come with them. So I like put it. I did have this in B tier for a little bit, but there's like some albums coming quick here soon that I put above it. So I ended up putting "Please Please Me" in C tier. Uh, not because I didn't like it, but just because to me, like the standouts aren't as strong as they become, and you know, yeah. So Matt, what do you say? Where are you gonna put this first Beatles album? Please, please me.
I did the exact same. I put it in C only because there's another album a couple down the line that I ranked worse for reasons. But
Right.
please, please me, I'm going to be honest. I don't like that single.
You
And my
don't? Oh yeah.
wife is,
Okay.
we're huge Beatles fans. I mean, we named our kids, Abby and
Right.
Jude. So, and so I was even telling my wife about this, and she's like, "How can you not like Please Please Me?" It's just please please me like I please you. Come on, guys. Like really, and that's the single, okay? Because they're the world's first boy band. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of that on that record. However, Twist and Shout's epic.
Right.
Um, I even like Boys. I like Ringo's cover of Boys. Misery. Uh, P.S. I Love You should have been their first single, honestly. Do you want to know a secret? I used to sing all the time when I was a little kid. So, because you're an asshole and you made me tier list the Beatles, and I had to pick a C column, this one had to go in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tier list the Beatles. You're an asshole. So that's why I picked C.
It is true. I did it for torture purposes. I knew it would be for Matt too. I'm the
Unbelievable.
same way. This was tough. It was tough for me.
If we didn't have like I would rank it B honestly, but I can't. I gotta have one to C because you're an asshole.
Right. Right. All right. Michael, what do you say? What do you say for "Please Please Me"? Where would you put it?
So I actually put this in the B tier because
All right. All
of these
right.
first like 4 albums that are they're kind of that first era of the Beatles that was more about being, I guess, commercially successful
Right.
and playing to their crowd at the time, which was teenagers who wanted to get up and dance in a culture that said dancing is bad. Um, and so, of those 4, I felt like the first one was one of the ones that was more tight and together. Uh, did sound like it was their like best ones that they had probably played the most. And every track on it is just well done.
Right.
Even if it's not a song that you like, they have it really together on this album. And so,
Right.
and I think some of the others, as we'll see as we go down the list, didn't quite hit the same mark. And
Right.
so this one was a B for me.
Cool. Yeah, man. I had it like I said, I did have it at B. I ended up changing it like later this week to C, but I kind of agree too. I think it was tight. Like you could kind of sense that like you said, like they that feeling of them playing together for so long. I think you could feel it on this record. It was just really tight
Mhm.
and solid. Parrish, what do you say for Please Please Me?
So I actually ranked this one a D tier, but it was partly because I forgot you did not use F in your scale. So
Yeah.
if we adjusted for my miscalculation, I would probably put I'm fine leaving it at D tier
Okay.
just because for all the reasons you guys have stated. Um I would probably bump it up to C just because like you said, they're clearly very practiced as a band.
Right.
They know how to play together. They've got all the right
Yeah, they've been touring like Germany and stuff
produce the music. Yeah,
prior
Yeah.
to recording.
um, like it's a good album, but at the same time, I was just kind of thinking through, like, man, if this album was produced by a band that did not eventually go on to become the Beatles,
Hmm.
it kind of
Hmm.
has a lot of that. Even the standout songs on it, the more famous like "Star Standing There" and "Love Me Do," like those
Hmm.
even have the kind of like just kaplink, kaplink, kaplink of that
Hmm.
generic '60s rock.
Right.
Um,
Except they have their stuff together. They have their harmonies
yeah,
or
I
not.
mean
Yeah, yeah,
they're super tight on it. Like it's
yeah.
all very well done. Like of that,
And the mixing, like that bass
if I'm
line
allowed to hang
on
on to
"Love Me
that
Do."
kind of dismissive comment, they're probably the best of that sort of sound.
That
Um,
doo-wop kind of six.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Late 50s.
shuffle that they came out. But again, like, they will go on to find themselves creatively and develop a really distinct voice and do
And do a lot of drugs,
yeah,
Yes.
a
Yes.
yeah,
lot, like an
which will
insane
also
amount.
factor into this conversation.
Yeah, yes, yes. It'll factor into wondering if that helps music making or then destroys it. I don't know.
I didn't do a lot of research, but to piggyback off Parrish, like they had a mixer in there too, because like even "Love Me Do," even John Lennon's like harmonica and stuff like that. Just what? Okay, and it worked. And the way they
Right,
mix that in there, and then like the "Love Me Do," just the bass line, doom, 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 da,
yeah,
doom. For whatever reason, that is awesome, and it works, and it's three notes,
right, right,
So I didn't think about that before. Yeah, so if that had probably been any other band, that might have been it. They might have toured "Love Me Do" for 20 years.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like
yeah.
Yeah,
I think there's still some legitimate
I
hit
mean,
songs there.
look how many '90s like bands that we like were bands when we were in high school that are
sure.
still touring off one song, right? Like,
Like Everclear, like Everclear.
Well, and also
I
like
love Everclear, but they only have 3 songs.
and we're also clear imitations of other bands in
right,
that genre.
right,
Like it not only fit within a wheelhouse of like this is what they came out of, but there are a lot of people that did it better.
right,
And I
right,
don't think you can say that of the Beatles clearly, but they like I said, this album and the next couple really for me kind of get lumped into that generic sound
right.
category.
Well,
Sure.
Parrish, why don't you just go ahead and take us in then to with the Beatles? That's their second
Yeah.
album. What do you think about that one?
So
Kind of similar,
so
or?
Well, I did actually rank this one lower just because I didn't really see it as like any legitimate hits on this. There were
Right.
some good covers that they put out.
Mhm.
Beethoven, You Really Got a
Right.
Hold on Me, Till It Was You, Money. Like there are songs that they did really well on here, but as far as like original music that went on to become established canon of classic rock or whatever you want to call it, like I just didn't really see this as being that strong of an album overall.
Right. Was the
Um
only
and
one was like I Want to Be Your Man was like the one of the only ones, right?
so
And
yeah.
even that one was kind of weak, but
Well, All My
Yeah.
Lovin'.
is that on this one?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
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 that was on too. Yeah. But it just like I said, I mean, again, if I had never heard any of these songs before and didn't know it was the Beatles, like,
right,
does this album go on to become
Sure.
one of the greatest bands of all time? I
right,
I don't I don't think so.
right. I agree. It'd probably be. I put this one in D as well. Uh, so I did. I agreed with you because I mean, like to me, like the standouts, even the covers. Again, my whole kind of cover thing is they did 6 covers, 8 originals, and the originals don't stand out as much. It doesn't feel as tight, I guess. But I mean, you're talking of putting a second album out in 1963. You know, so that's.
Mhm.
I mean, it's pretty crazy, but and so I give them props for that. So like keeping in mind that a D in a Beatles tier list is not the same as a D in like a Hoobastank tier list. You know what I
Sure.
mean?
Sure.
Like tier list
Yeah.
rankings are they're
Did
relative to
you
the
think
band.
producing those albums to actually get to D? I don't
I don't know.
I don't think
But
they did.
but I mean, so it's relative, right? But like I agree. I put this one in D tier for me. It just isn't one I return to. And exactly if you take it into the context of, hey, if they stopped here, would this be one of those like bands that were on the oldies station? And I know the song because my parents listened to the oldies station as a kid, but I never really knew much else from them, and found out when I was 40 the name of the band. You know what? That would be like one of those situations if this
Mhm.
was their last album. I feel like, but yeah. So I put it in D as well. What about you, Matt? Where'd you put it?
I put it in C as
Okay.
well because I have another one. I have another one later that's going to be in D.
Right.
Um, I like for what y'all are saying is true, but also hindsight's 2020, right? So
Right.
back in the 60s, it was still singles,
Right.
singles, singles. So All My Lovin' was the single.
Right.
You know, I think Please, Mr. Postman's B side, All I've Got to Do. So they're riding high on singles and then they're just following it up like, I don't know, let's throw some crap we covered in Germany on
Right.
here, that type of deal. But I kept it in C because it's a little different than Please Please Me. They got a little something new going on. Like it won't be long, yeah. Yeah, where
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
following chasing each other's vocals. Then you have Paul McCartney going, I always wanted to do, show tunes. So he's doing Till There Was You. And I love Till There Was You. I love
Yeah.
that version. And Hold Me Tight. And you can still see their
I
roots. They're like, I don't know, let's just
Yeah, I do
cover
like
Chuck
that
Berry. And they
song
throw it on
too.
there.
That starts out the album, doesn't it? It won't be long. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it won't be
Yeah.
long. And
Yeah.
honestly,
Yeah.
it's C for me because they're kind of you can see them kind of a little more kind of finding a voice.
Right.
They're piggybacking off their singles,
Right.
but they're kind of finding their own voice here. And then just the bias of me, I love the Beatles. It won't be
Right.
long. It's one of those ones that my wife and I kind of playfully, you know, we talk in Beatles terminology. That's like one
Right.
of those, songs. And
Say
then
lines to each
uh,
other. Right. Yeah.
yeah. And then like all I've got to do whenever I mean, come on, that's a great song.
Yeah.
One wanna so that they have a little better tunes on there than the first one. So I kept it in C.
Okay.
Um, any other record, in Hoobastank, it would be B. you know.
I think that this was called something different. Maybe with the Beatles was the UK title and the American title was Meet the
Yeah,
Beatles.
I
I
should
think it was
know,
called
but
Meet the
I don't.
Beatles, and so it was a little different.
Yeah,
But you can't find that one now. So,
yeah.
Sanders, what did you say? Where'd you put this one?
I put this one in a C.
Okay.
Um, basically,
Nice.
just because it's fewer well-known hits, I still think they have a lot of the same practiced skill and tightness as the
Right.
first album. But yeah, just not as many memorable hits.
Right.
That was pretty much it.
Yeah.
These first four albums all kind of sound like the same, like a lot of pretty
Very
much same
similar.
styles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I kind of went by, skill level or hits
Right. Right.
for these
Right. Like
rankings.
the
So yeah,
last one has,
C
you
on
felt
that
like the
one.
last one had the bigger hits and stood out more to you.
Yeah,
Right.
for
Right.
sure. And that makes sense because if you're putting out two albums in a year,
Right.
you're probably
Sure.
just recording your repertoire, and the
Right.
first
Yeah.
one you're going to want to put all your best stuff on.
Well, I think
Uh,
like I mean, we're covering 13 or 14 albums, and I think that
yeah,
almost every year from 63 to 70, they put out
Yeah.
two albums almost every
two.
year, which is
Mm.
Yeah.
unheard of. Like today, like bands wait like 3 to 5 years before releasing new
Hmm.
albums. So,
Yep.
Yep. And they fall the freak off. They fall off.
right, which
You know.
we'll talk about the later when we talk about Let It Be. We'll talk about that movie if you've ever watched it on Disney Plus or the like mini series Get Back. It was kind of fun
Hmm.
watching that. I loved it. I've seen it twice, which is nerdy because it's like 9 hours long. But it's like being in a room with the Beatles as they write music, and like that's like
I've
what
seen
they
Some Kind of
did.
Monster about 30 times.
That's what they did as a job. Like bands nowadays, they move across the country from each other and they like send each other files over the internet, which is cool that they can do that. But they like would get in a room and it's like, this is our job. We're going to write music now. Like we're getting up in the morning and we're going to go write music. Um,
Hmm.
so it's a different mentality too, I guess. But cool. All right, man. So next one is A Hard Day's Night. Matt, you want to start us on A Hard Day's Night?
Yeah, I do. A. It's absolutely A tier.
All right.
I
Hey,
love almost
I
every
had a
single
feeling.
song on it. Yeah, it was the very first record I got from Columbia House when I stole all their shit when it was like 10 CDs for a
Yeah.
penny.
Yeah.
It was like Hard Day's Night, Best of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. I can't remember. I think Garth Brooks and some other stuff. But this was my very first CD that I ever got. And I remember sitting in my beanbag chair playing PlayStation 1, playing Civilization 2. It's over and over and over again. But Hard Day's
Oh
Night,
yeah.
great song. Should have known better, great song. If I Fell in Love, great song. I mean, every song on here is just a banger. I'll Cry Instead, love it. I mean, I think just about every song on here is just a banger. And then a
Right.
movie.
Right, right. The movie
Uh,
that came with it,
yeah, I mean,
which was better
yeah,
than the next movie, but yeah.
yeah, yes. But normally, I don't like a lot of like musician movies. I'm just
Right,
gonna be honest. I
right,
I
right.
don't care about Yellow Submarine or any of that. I never cared about any of the Elvis movies other than Love Me Tender. But just this album is just it's awesome. Like this is this would be one of my top five albums if I was stranded in a desert island.
Nice. All right, so
Yeah.
A, heck yeah. Um, I'll piggyback off you because I didn't put it in A. I almost did. I ended up putting it in my B tier. I have so many uh albums of the Beatles in A tier. I had to like pick and choose for B because I don't know if it's like undiagnosed OCD that I have going on, but I wanted to like even it out when I imagined the tier list in my head of like the albums placed there. I wanted it like evened out a little bit, I guess, to where I didn't like had six in A. So I have forced myself to put some in B, and this was one. But I love it too. Like just from the opening like guitar strum and just like the it's been a hot like that's
Yeah.
just so awesome.
Yeah.
Um, every song,
You got solos. So you got George is ripping solos on this
right,
album.
right, and
Like they're here.
right, and this is their first album where
Like
they have zero covers. This is all
sure.
originals. The whole album is
Yeah. And
originals.
this is what they did. And it's like, whoa, okay.
Right, right. And you're like, this is what
Yeah.
we're missing. We don't need those other six
Mhm.
tracks of songs, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And so yeah, this is a fantastic album, I think too. And just, we're talking about that sound that they had in these earlier albums, kind of taking that sound and then just really making it their own poppy hooky thing. Like I know to us when it's weird when we look back on it, but back then this was was faster and in your face music a little bit at times too. You know what I mean? Like it was different for them back then when they heard Hard Day's Night. That was like edgier music at times. So I don't know. I loved it, but I put it in B. Paris, where are you putting it?
I'm still kind of on the low end with this.
Okay.
I definitely felt like it's getting better, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm still probably C tier with this.
Okay.
Just because, like, you know, again, I did not grow up as a Beatles fan. My dad, mom didn't really listen to the Beatles, so I came to it a lot later, like high school, before I really started getting into much of their music. Um, and so just generally, I didn't recognize that many songs off of this album, but the ones I do are like "Hard Day's Night," "Can't Buy Me Love," like the
Right.
quintessential. You hear that, and that's the Beatles sound. Like
Right.
they're really starting to dial in on that. I would probably put it somewhere. It's more like a C and a half,
C and a half.
C plus for
We
me.
had half of the last episode.
Yes, C and a
Yes.
half.
Just
Like, can we do an
I
F
mean,
minus? Yeah.
like you said, I mean, they're this is the first album with no covers. Like they're really getting into who are we as a band? What do we sound like? What do we care about? What is it like for us to work well together?
Right.
Um, so I mean, it's a solid record, and I really enjoyed it. But it's just like I said. I mean, again having the benefit of hindsight, 50 years later, like
Right.
I know there's more in the tank for
Right.
them. So
Right. For sure. For sure. It'd be different if this came out when you were like a teenager, because then it might have nostalgia
yeah,
bearing
right,
on it.
right,
Right.
right.
Right. For sure.
Yeah,
Kind of like
and two, I
Matt,
mean,
even though Matt got it was like one of his first CDs, so he's got that nostalgia factor
Yeah. So
bearing
I have a
that
history
weight
with
on
it.
this album for sure. Right.
Yeah.
well, and two,
Yeah.
like just thinking, okay, between this one, between Hard Day's Night and Beatles for Sale, it went from July to December.
Right.
So like less than 6 months later, they
hmm
drop another really good album. Like I remember just kind of looking at all the dates on this stuff and thinking, yeah, I mean it's impressive when you compress it all down and look at it. It was only, 5 or 6 years that they're putting all this out, but like just thinking of it from a consumer standpoint, like what would it be like to have this incredible record and then like,
Six
wait,
months
what? They came
later.
out with like,
Yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
even Christmas yet, and they're already dropping more music.
Yeah, you're like every year you're like, I know what I want for Christmas, the new Beatles record,
Yeah,
because it's gonna keep
yeah.
coming
Yeah.
out, right?
They used to do those Beatles Christmas albums and stuff like that, where
Yeah,
fans couldn't wait for the next one, so they would just do stuff where they were just talking and making each other laugh and doing dumb shit,
right.
and it sold.
Yeah, yeah. All right, Michael, what'd you say?
This one was a B for me.
All right,
It's kind of like their first album of the next year, their next cycle. A lot more originals, and yes, still I think they got back more of the tightness and togetherness for this one. Um,
right,
this one, let's see, Hard Day's Night. Um, yeah, for me, A Hard Day's Night and Can't Buy Me Love. Like when I was a kid, I listened to oldie stations, and so those were on there a ton. So those are like my only real connections to this album. Uh,
right.
so yeah,
And
it was a
those
B for
those
me.
were on like K Love, the oldies K Love or whatever. Like
hmm
those were on like all the time.
98.7. Yeah.
Right, right. Yeah.
Yeah, I was a kid in Oklahoma, so it was funnily named KOMA, coma.
Oh,
And they never played
Coma.
into that, but
Wow.
but that was where I heard a lot of the
But
old
they
Beatles
knew.
stuff.
They knew.
They knew.
had to
Yeah,
have
they had
They
to
didn't
have
play
known.
into it. They knew. It was clearly understood.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
That used to be my alarm clock in the morning. Caleb would wake me up with uh, Buttercup, don't break my heart
Yeah,
every
yeah.
single morning. It's like 6:30 in the morning. That would be the one.
That's
Cheer
awesome.
me up.
All right, cool, man. So, yeah, our next one, we have Beatles for Sale. So, Paris, you want to take us off on Beatles for Sale? Uh, where do you put that one?
Sure. I put this one at a B.
Okay.
I really felt like again they're getting it dialed in. Um, not a ton of bangers on it, but I mean it's still very good music. 8 days a week is, I think for me, that was probably like one of the first Beatles songs I ever like really absorbed
Yeah.
culturally, like to where I would recognize it on the radio if it was playing. Um and I just, um like I said, I know they've got more in the tank coming, but it they're out of the plinka plink kind of 60s
Hmm.
generic sound. They're really starting to experiment. That was one thing. Like, I don't know if I'm the only person like this or not. My first real intro to like the Beatles music was the Monkees, because it was
Mm.
in daytime syndication when I was a
Hmm.
child.
Mhm.
And like for whatever reason, I had their records, but not the Beatles. And you can trace the progression for the Monkees of them learning to play their instrument. Like the good songs come later when they actually know what they're doing.
Right.
And with the Beatles, like they have always been good musicians. They have always been
Yeah.
skillful at like
It's
the
about finding
performance.
the right producer who sees
Yeah.
what they
Yeah.
want and can get that out of them.
Well, and can also kind of harness it. Like, well, we're not quite to the turn yet for
Hmm.
me, but like there's definitely a point later in the game where like you can tell there's some kind of vying for control. Some folks are a little tired of playing other people's music and want to do
Yeah.
their own
Hmm.
stuff, and
Right.
it haven't quite started to fall apart that way yet. But like we're all it's a really cohesive sound, and they've got it dialed in as far as like this is who we are as a band, this is the kind of music we produce, this is the kind of stuff we're interested in.
Right.
Just creatively, I think they're really starting to kind of hit their stride with that. So yeah, it's B tier for me.
Nice. Matt, what do you say?
I put it in D tier.
D for
I put
dog?
D for dog, D for dick.
Oh
Yep. And
wow.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. How do you follow up Hard Day's Night with this?
Well,
They
Parrish
followed
did say it was
they
you went
followed it
from
up.
July to
They followed it
December.
up with
Less
a
than
bunch of
five
more
months
cover
later.
songs.
That's
Right.
how.
I guess, but they followed it up with a bunch more cover songs. Now, hey, let's do
Right.
rock and roll music and Words of Love by Buddy Holly. Hey, we can do all the things that, and it's totally one of those deals where they hit the singles and they had to flush out the record.
Right.
But this
Probably.
didn't do it for me. It didn't do it for me. No Reply. I don't like No Reply. It just doesn't. The hook in it doesn't get me. I'm a loser. I sing it when it comes on. I don't skip it. But Babies in Black is awesome. I love their cover of rock and roll music, but it's a cover. I love I'll Follow the Sun. Um, 8 days a week, and I'm a huge Buddy Holly fan. So Words of Love, their cover didn't do it justice for me, even though that was Buddy Holly was like one of their biggest influences.
Right.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
just the rest of that album, it was just like, really, you did Hard Day's Night, and then you did just went back to a whole bunch of cover songs. Like, what are we doing here? So that's my only D tier,
All right.
and that's why.
Oh, and I wonder too, like how much of this is kind of driven by like they've really started picking up steam. Now the record producers are really pushing them to like, okay, let's
Guaranteed,
get more music.
100%. But
Right.
You know what I
like the
mean?
'60s was
Okay,
single
we'll go
driven,
back to
right?
covers because
Yeah. No, you have here's 8 days a week. Now we need a B side. I don't know. Do rock and roll music.
yeah,
Like what?
yeah,
I don't know.
totally,
Let's do Words of Love.
Well,
yeah.
Let's.
I
Well,
def
we have the single, and then let's do Elvis. Let's do Kansas City. Hey, like it just doesn't work for
it definitely felt like when it came to like their covers, because like I said, covers aren't always my favorite. I mean, I like a cool cover from and stuff, but I like originals. And so
me. Sure.
I think like for this album, I didn't put it in D. I put it between you guys. I put it in C. But I think it's because I think the covers were felt less inspired even than the other albums. Like
Yeah,
it
yeah. They just
felt like
threw it down and mixed it. They didn't go
maybe kind of
overboard.
what you said, like
Yeah.
kind of a mix of like what Parrish said, like the producers were pushing like we got to get another album out. You have this awesome single, and then they're just like, hey, what covers could we throw on this album? Like, what did y'all used to play?
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
that kind of feels like it. I mean, I love the song 8 Days a Week, but
Yeah. Of
I
course.
just
All the singles. Yeah.
I tried to do like I would listen. So I try to listen to the albums in different orders when I'm making a tier list to see if I'm not influenced on a ranking based off a previous one. Because kind of like you said, I love Hard Day's Night, and then I went and listened to this when I was listening to him chronologically, and I was like,
Hmm.
whoa, this dropped off for me. And then I went back and listened to him different orders just to see, and this kind of still sat. Like I don't know that I thought it was D tier. I like it more than with the Beatles overall, but I mean,
Well,
it
with
just
the Beatles, and in hindsight, with the Beatles, that's the Beatles. That's where they started.
right,
So this album goes back to that.
right, and that's what I'm saying.
Come on,
That's why I'm
come on!
dropping.
You just did Help. What are we
Right,
doing?
that's why I'm dropping from Hard Day's
I'm saying
Night.
that to say you're wrong. It's D.
No, no, no. D.
You're wrong.
It's C. All right.
Your opinion is wrong.
Michael, what do you say? Where are you putting this one?
Yeah, this is the lone D album for me.
Oh,
Woo! I got a friend.
well,
Eight
there.
Days a Week is a standout track,
Right.
Yep.
but everything else felt like we just need to slap some crap on a vinyl and people will buy it.
Yeah.
And
I do like Babies in
some of
Black
it,
though.
some of the songs are freaking sloppy on this in their
Yeah.
musicianship. Like there's one, I can't remember what it is, but it's like one of them discovered the volume knob on his guitar and he tries to do this thing where he like fades his notes in and out and it's just
Yes.
sloppy and all over the
Yes.
place and I was like, what
Yeah.
the hell are they doing?
Yeah.
So yeah, this was not a great album for
Well,
me other than
eventually,
8 Days
when
a Week is a
George picks
fantastic
up the
song.
sitar and starts experimenting,
Oh, it
won't
gets
Hell
so
yeah.
better.
he won't be ruining them for it was this was his first experimentation with the guitar volume knob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That's interesting. That was interesting.
What?
I didn't know. I was expecting this to be people's lone D tier. There's an album later that I put in D tier that I'm surprised. Okay, but anyway. All right, man. So all right, that takes us to Help. Michael, you want to start us on Help?
Yeah, sure. I feel like they kicked it back up a notch. Help has some really some good standout tracks. Help, Ticket to Ride. I love Act Naturally. I know it's a cover, but I think that's a really fun song.
Oh yeah, it's good.
And then
What song?
Act Naturally. Was that a
Oh,
cover
yeah,
or did
yeah,
somebody
yeah.
cover it later?
Buck Owens.
Yeah.
Buck Owens. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Love that song. And then Yesterday is just an all-time
Mhm.
Right.
top tier Beatles song. So
Mhm.
I put this one in B tier. I think it's them kind of starting to shift out of that bubblegum pop 60s teenage band and into something a little higher.
Right.
So
Especially with songs like Yesterday, right? Like I mean,
yeah.
Help is awesome. It's kind of like their version of Hard Day's Night for this
Their
album.
their commercial success. Yeah,
Right,
the
and it's
commercial.
a
Yes.
it's a great
Yeah.
song. The Help Me If you, like it's so catchy. That
Mhm.
hook is so good.
Yeah.
But that Yesterday, and that was fun. It's so funny because
Mhm.
Paul called it. It was called Scrambled Eggs. Like that's what he called
Mhm.
it before it was ever called Yesterday, and he's saying Scrambled Eggs instead of Yesterday.
You, you know, like he dreamt it. He
Right.
dreamt the tune.
That's right. That's what it was. Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and he ran around and grabbed everyone he knew. He's like, dude, did I rip someone off? Is this someone else's song? And no one could come up with it. He goes,
Right.
I guess it's mine.
Which is the inspiration for the movie Yesterday, if you never saw that,
Mhm.
which is a great movie.
Great
It's
movie.
about this dude
Yeah.
that wakes up and the Beatles have never
No one's ever heard of
existed,
the Beatles,
and he writes
but
all
he
their
knew.
songs, but he knew them. He's the
Yeah,
only
yeah.
one. And that was just such I love I mean any I'm a fiend for anything to do with the Beatles, so that was so good. But yeah, that I love this album too. I'm right there with you. I put it in B tier. Man, like much like Hard Day's
Mhm.
Night, like I want to put it in A, but there is just some of the all-time best stuff is coming. Like all-time best stuff in
Mhm.
music, in my opinion, is coming.
Yeah.
And so I had to put this in B tier for me as well. But also, I used to think they spelled the word help out with their hands, like in some sort of like sign language or something. But
Oh
they're
yeah,
not.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
not spelling the word help out. I don't know what they're spelling, if anything, but it's not. I figured that out like trying to do
Well, it's
some
probably
math.
something satanic,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
knowing what
Paul
we
is
know now
dead. Paul
about
is
everything.
dead.
I thought it was like ship flaggers.
Moloch.
Yeah, airplane
Oh, is
stuff.
it?
But
Is that what it is?
yeah,
Oh, okay, okay.
it's some type of signaling for aircraft,
The plane
ships.
hitting the towers. They knew.
Yeah, something.
They knew.
It's an inside job.
It was 40 years in the making.
It was the,
Oh my
it was the
god.
British.
The red coats are
Bankrolled by
coming.
the John
It's the red coats are coming.
You heard
Oh,
it here
sorry.
first.
Okay.
On the Albino Rhino podcast, where we delve into the truth. Because woke, fighting the one mind virus, one album at a time.
All right, Paris. What did you think about Help in all its mind control ways?
Yeah, the beta waves. I like I try to think of it from an artistic standpoint as like this for me is where not only have they kind of figured themselves out, they've gotten really good at it.
Right.
Like again, I mean, Yesterday is probably one of my all-time favorite songs across the board. I want to give it an A. If giving it a B feels wrong, so it's probably another one of those like B.5 kind of things for me, just because
Sure.
like, again, dude, if all of them died in a plane crash and this was the last album they ever produced, like, what a fucking high note to go out on.
This
Yep.
like, yeah.
Yep.
This would be a legacy album by any
Yep.
other
100%. Yep.
Right.
because you've got so much left in what they're gonna come out with. It has to go down on the list, but just because like you have to make room for everything else above it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Fincher's an asshole. and
Which
he's making
isn't.
us tier list. The
Yeah,
Beatles.
That was like,
and
The Beatles.
is that what this
Someone has
podcast
to go in the D.
proof or Fincher's a dick?
yes, yes, it is.
Just-
that
just-
was what my
just-
final. Man, it's
Just making it a public record.
it's crazy to say though that like if they would have like died in a plane crash, this was their last album. This would be a legacy album, and none of us.
Sure.
I don't know what Matt's gonna put it in, but none of us have put it in A. That's how much more greatness
Yeah.
is there.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Matt, what did you say about Help?
Hey,
Hey,
it's a fucking record.
Hey, we got
Yeah.
there.
we got an
it's
A.
another
We got
record.
an A.
There's I mean, like Sanders said, I like Act Natural. Every member of the Beatles on here found themselves, like Paris said.
Yeah.
All of them. This is his style. This is his style. You know, hey Ringo, let's let him cover a song. You know, and he nailed it. I love Act Natural. I like the original. Just John Lennon's kind of voice. You know, you're gonna, you know, just shines through. I've Just Seen a Face is one of my all-time top 10 favorite songs.
Oh,
of
I
all
love
time.
that. I forgot to even mention that.
So is
So
Yesterday.
good,
So
yeah.
there's two Beatles songs off this
Yeah.
record on my at least top 20
Yeah.
favorite songs of all time.
I mean,
Ticket to Ride.
you put I've Just Seen a
Yeah,
Face
that-
on any girl's playlist you make for a girl too. That's
Oh, yeah.
it's a perfect song.
Yeah, I put it on. Yeah.
But anyway,
Um,
keep going. Sorry.
Ticket to Ride. I mean, that Harrison lick, he's just kind of hammering on the pinky on an A chord,
Right.
and you get that sound. That's crazy. I mean, it just they found themselves. Each one of them found their distinct identity, and in this record, you see it like y'all said. There's better coming where they blend it all.
Right.
But here you get each one of them doing their own thing and doing it perfect.
Right. And it's
Almost
Well,
all
but
the
it-
way through.
But it works together.
right.
Like I feel like and again we'll talk about it later, but like some of the last albums, it's almost like, okay, that's a John song, that's a Paul song, that's a
Sure,
Ringo song.
yep. Mhm.
Everybody's still at the height of their powers, but they're all kind of pulling in different directions, and they all kind of want to do different stuff creatively.
Right.
This is
This-
the one that like it all came together. I
Right.
think.
Right.
Yes, I'm with you on that, and putting in this with saying the same thing, with saying, hey, Paul found, okay, this is my sound. What can you guys add to it?
Right.
Hey,
Yeah.
John, this is my song. How can you make this better? And
Yeah.
just like at the end, where they're all kind of individually going, okay, this is my swan song. I'm out.
And this is what I want you to
Here
do at this
it's
part of it.
this is
Right. Yeah.
yes. Whereas before it's how can we make it better,
Right.
and at the end it's this is my song. This is how we're going to do it.
Right.
That type of deal. So there you
Yeah.
go. There's another A for you.
Nice, man. I love that album. Movie not as good as Hard Day's Night, but still. Also,
No way.
and definitely you can. It feels like they took that step, like because Parrish kept saying, I mean not Parrish, Michael kept saying the first 4 albums, and you do kind of hear that. Like people like to say these next 2 albums we're going to talk about is where they make a sonic change, and I do hear that because like we talked about, you have Harrison picking up the sitar and all this stuff happening on these next albums. And so there is this sonic change happening. However, I believe that it really starts in Help. You kind of got out of that little like there's still a lot of those songs that have that flair of Hard Day's Night, but it just feels like it's their own thing. Really like their own thing, and not like, oh, this is like late 50s, early 60s rock. But this is
this is
Beatles.
Boom,
Right.
the Beatles.
Right.
You know what I mean? You hear that solo. Oh, that's Clapton. You hear this song, this sound. Oh, that's the Beatles.
Right.
This is the Beatles for sure.
All right, so that takes us to our next album. Like I said, where they start to sound. A lot of people try to say like, I think this is where their sound starts to change. This in the next album, but this one, Rubber Soul, is their next one that we're going to talk about, and I'll just start with it. This one is incredible. I love this album. I put it in A. Besides, there's an album we're going to talk about later that was my first album I had, and I had it on cassette, but this was the second one I had. It was the first one I had on CD. I love Drive My Car. It just starts out so like just upbeat and kicking with that song, and Norwegian Wood, Nowhere Man, Michelle, What Goes On, I'm Looking Through You. Those are all fantastic songs, and we're going through like a variety of sounds as I'm talking about all these songs. Like each one kind of has like their own their sounds. Like it doesn't just sound like, I love the older Beatles albums, but after a while you can start to be like, did we hear this song earlier? And because some of them can kind of get that late 50s rock sound. And this one doesn't have that. In My Life is one of my favorite Beatles songs. I love that song. So yeah, man, this one was when I first went through their discography, this one was in my B tier, and I knew I loved it, and I was kind of surprised. And another one was in my A tier, and I ended up swapping them later. But this one, yeah, this one's definitely in my A tier all the way. Matt, what do you say? Rubber Soul.
Yep, same thing. A tier. I originally had it in B, until I kind of realized that this is where they started experimenting and nailed it. They weren't trying too much. They still hung to their rock and roll stuff. What Goes On is an underrated classic. Ringo singing "What Goes On in Your Heart," and just the harmony. You still got that old school. Hey, we remember where we came from. Yeah, Nowhere Man. There's your John Lennon. You know what I mean? Drive My Car. There's your Paul McCartney, man. Girls. That sucking. Where in the hell? They get that idea. And in my wife walked down the aisle at our wedding to "In My Life." So I mean.
Yeah,
it's
a beautiful
unfortunately
song.
it's not. Yeah, I mean it's perfect. If I needed someone, and then to end the song with such a chauvinistic, just ballad for killing women, for not liking you as much as some other guy. Run for your life, little girl. If I catch you around with another man, I'm gonna kill your ass. You gotta respect a murderer like John Lennon. And so that's why it's an A tier, because of chauvinism.
Yeah, that communist pig.
But it is a great song. It is a great song. It's a great.
It is.
I mean, like all joking aside, like this is the record, right? This is all right. We got our commercial success. what do we feel like doing here? But isn't this where they switched from 4-track to like 8-track? Like they started going from reel to reel. They started doing something a little different, and
Right.
just homer after homer after homer after homer. Just great album all the way through.
It's
Not non-skip, no skips.
it's funny because so like I don't know what y'all use for streaming, whether you use Apple or Spotify, but I know like, and I would assume Spotify is the same thing. Like after every album, they have like a like Apple Music has like a
Yeah, I have a
documentary,
documentary
and it's
on
like five
Apple.
minutes
Yeah.
or something. And that's one thing they said about Rubber Soul was like they knew when they were making this that they were making a special album. Like they knew that they were making good music. And I think that's kind of it. Like I think that song like Yesterday and some of the songs from Help really kind of like shoved them into like
Yeah.
we can do more.
Well, they realized
We
with
can do
help, hey, we
better.
got away with this, and it sounds good, and people liked it. So let's kind of
Right.
go in that direction.
Right.
And they each have their own voice, and they each have the rest of the band kind of doing their
Yeah.
thing. So,
Michael, what'd you say for Rubber Soul?
Yeah, this was my first A tier.
Nice.
nice.
This was the first Beatles album that I listened to this for the first time in high school, and this was the first time I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'm a Beatles
This is
fan."
what they're talking
Like
Right.
about. Yeah,
this
yeah.
is
Not
this
this
is
floppy
good.
hand holding crap. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Drive My Car, Norwegian Wood, Nowhere Man,
Mhm.
Michelle, In My Life. Oh my gosh, like yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah. And
really good stuff.
it still has
This is
it still
yeah,
has a
this is up there
classic
for me.
sound, right? Like it still's got this
Yes.
classic
Yeah.
60s
Mhm.
sound. All right, cool, Parrish. So let's take it over to
What
you.
happened at Building 7, Parrish? Let's talk about Building 7.
Oh, wow. Okay, welcome back to Red Coat Edition of tier listing. Parrish, tell us what you think about Rubber Soul, please. Where do you put this on your tier list?
I would say it's another. Want to give it an A. It probably more firmly fits in the B category for me, just because I'm not as familiar with it.
Okay.
But I do think a lot of the similar things that have already been said about it, in terms of um, just like creatively, it feels like there's less influence on them to come up with something marketable, or like to fit
Mhm.
in a box that will sell units, and more like we've hit our stride. We know who we are creatively. We know how we work together. Now, like, let's see what we can. It's the we've test driven the thing, and now we've got it off the lot, and let's see what it can really do.
Right.
Hey,
I
when did they stop touring? Is this when they stopped touring?
I can't remember
uh
if they.
Sorry to cut it,
No,
but
but it
I'm
was
going to
somewhere.
piggyback on.
It was somewhere around here because
yeah.
after the Help movie and the Help thing and all that stuff, like they couldn't even hear themselves play, like at
Like
stadiums and stuff. Yeah.
they could just poop a turd at this point, and it would be platinum.
Right.
Help was August of '65, and Rubber Soul was December. So yet again,
That's
like
unreal.
Oh my
two
god.
That's
put that
unreal.
album
What a run!
in
And they're only
4 months.
together for what, 8 years, 9 years,
Yeah.
8 years?
Of
Well, and
making
like
albums.
I
Yeah.
have to believe
Yeah.
that they're either they stopped touring before Help came out and just were like in the studio cranking shit out.
Right.
Hmm.
I think they did. I think it was about them because over the next 5 years they've released some of the best music on
Yeah,
recording.
I mean, and again, like I want to give it an A. I feel like there are less, again, I'm more the casual Beatles fan in all of this. So I feel like there are less recognizable titles on the track list for this than some of the others, but it's
Sure.
still it's phenomenal music.
Yeah.
It's a great album. It just, like I said, there's I know there's better yet to come.
Yeah, and they embrace, I think a lot of like the colorful albums that are going to come up in a minute get known as their like psychedelic albums. But I think this kind of
Mhm.
started like this psychedelic like I'm not saying the drug use started here. I don't know for sure. But...
No, it was they were playing with technology.
Right, and like even
Yeah.
like the album, like the way the Beatles font says "Rubber Soul," all bubbly and
Sure,
and,
sure,
and
sure.
distorted, like it just feels like it has that vibe of what.
This, I think this isn't this where they first went to India? Was it this record? It may be.
I think it was around
I think
here
this was
because I
it.
think on
Yeah.
was it Norwegian Wood or Nowhere Man? Isn't the sitar playing
Yeah,
on one
yeah.
of those? Yeah.
No,
Is it
yeah,
not?
I can't remember.
I
I
think
don't want to say. I think it's
I
the
don't know.
next one.
I
I
know
think
for
it's
sure. Yeah,
Revolver.
I know for
I
sure
think it's Revolver.
Revolver is the next album.
Yeah.
Which go ahead, Matt. You can take us on to Revolver. We've all talked about Rubber Soul. Take us to Revolver. What do you think about that? Where are you
I
going to put
I
that?
gave Revolver a B only because I needed to start putting stuff in the B tier.
Yeah, you've had three
Because
A's
honestly,
already. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I wish I didn't because Eleanor Rigby's on here and text me and just
And
can't
Eleanor.
really good day shine. Yeah, good day sunshine. And your bird can sing one of my all-time favorite guitar licks.
And your
Um,
bird can. That's such a
yeah,
good
yeah,
song.
yeah. Got to get you into.
Underrated. Oh,
I mean, I love
and
this in my life.
you know what else is not on this album, but was recorded during the Revolver sessions of a song that I love
What's
that was
that?
never on an album, and you and I like
What's
play
that?
this, jam this on guitar together. Paperback Writer.
Is it Paperback Riders?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's one of my
Paperback
all-time
Writer.
favorites
I
too.
love that song, and that
Yeah,
was
we didn't do
recorded.
the singles. We didn't do the singles.
No,
I
we
would put that
didn't.
in S tier.
Yeah, that was
Because that's just George. That's just George messing around with a power chord. It's
it.
only two chords.
Right, it's like
It's C
hammering
and
that.
G.
Well, but also
Yeah,
time signatures. Like we
Right.
were
yeah, yeah,
saying earlier with technology, but also like they're messing
yep,
around with the nature of music. And
Right.
yeah,
yep.
What do you say,
So
sitar,
Parrish?
sitar comes
Oh,
in heavy.
I wasn't done talking, bastard.
oh. Sorry.
You're making me tearless. This shit. You're gonna cut me off.
Give me my
Jesus.
box to
Get
stand
to it
on.
faster! Come on!
Anyway,
Why do
I
I
gave
lose
it a
this
B. It didn't
vector?
have as many hits for me on here. Taxman, Eleanor Rigby, Love You Too, Yellow Submarine, Good Day, Sunshine, and Your Bird Can Sing.
Yeah.
Got to Get You Into My Life. That's it. The rest of the album, I hate to say I can skip. Tomorrow Never Knows is trippy and fun. It's like when Sanders and I used to mess around with that, the stereo effect. Do you remember that? With a shaker and it goes around. It kind of has that vibe, which I like. They were just in there high as a kite having fun, and it knocked it down to a B
That's what
for
makes
me.
it so good, though.
It would have been a C.
We're
It would have been a C, but there's great songs on here.
I know.
Eleanor Rigby. I mean, I can't give this a C. It's got to be a B. It's not an A for me, but it's definitely a B.
Well, that makes me feel better.
You can continue now. You can continue.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, Parrish.
For the more important people,
I'm gonna blow your
taller, more
fucking mind
handsome,
right now.
the taller, more handsome people.
This, and I will fight all three of you at the same time. This is my first S tier album.
Oh
Oh
boy.
no,
Oh
no,
yeah. I knew it would be coming from
no,
someone.
no!
Here's why.
Revolver?
Yeah. Go ahead. Tell us.
Why?
I want to hear.
100%. So first of all, this is the first Beatles record I actually purchased. Like
Mhm.
all the
I
rest
mean
of
shit
it
for S
was
tier.
either
Go ahead.
like I got it off of a best of album, the Beatles one record that came out in like
Yeah,
2000,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
that was just a
Mm-hmm.
record company trying to make
Mm-hmm.
some money off of their catalog.
Yeah. And they
This was
did.
the first like straight up and down Beatles record I actually bought. And
Right.
two, it definitely coincided for me. Like it's one of those like it's magic albums that just finds you at the right point in your life and everything hits. Like
Yeah, I get that.
and I understand, I hear what you're saying.
I
And
respect
understand
that. I respect that. I respect it.
it's just one of those like you pass this information through my software and you just get a different output. Partly because they are playing around with drugs and they are playing around
Mm-hmm.
with sound and they are playing around with technology and they are playing around with like their identity as pop group and what it means to be part of culture and like how they are in the world spiritually. Like just
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of really big heady shit going on and
Mhm.
like they churned out a really good album on the other side of it.
Mhm.
Now, having said that, I also recognize that like there are other albums of theirs I'm supposed to say are better, but like
Yes.
just from a creative standpoint, like I love any band that kind of like find like you could ride this version of yourselves and this output that you guys have settled on for the rest of your life. Like you could die billionaires
Right.
doing this thing over and over and over again. And anybody that kind of sees that and is like, you know what, let's just start like rip it back to the studs and start over. Like let's
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
totally try something different that I don't really give a shit whether the producer likes it, whether the audience likes it. Let's just do this for us. Like this it probably is a little self-indulgent, but it's like it's really good music coming out of what I think of as a really good place for them.
Right. Well,
All joking aside, what a fresh take. I
yeah.
accept your S tier for this.
Well, hey,
Okay.
You're wrong. You're wrong, Devin.
Yeah, okay.
no, hey, you know what
But I
though?
accept it, and it
You're
makes sense.
you're not alone in your opinion. I'm not putting it in S tier,
Yeah,
but
I like
I did have it in A for a little bit. I ended up changing mine from A. It was Rubber Soul that was in B tier.
Yeah.
And then I ended up changing. I re-listened to these albums, Revolver and Rubber Soul, and I think like after Rubber Soul was kind of like more mellow. There's songs on Rubber Soul that have a more mellow vibe, and then Revolver comes in with Taxman, and it's just kicking ass from the beginning of the
Yeah.
album, you know. And so there's something that's rocky about this album that I love because I love like rock music, you know, and I love upbeat stuff. And like I said,
Oh,
Paperback Writer came from this session, and so
yeah.
that song is super upbeat and rocking, and I love that like vibe of the Beatles, and I think a lot of people rank this album A or S. I think a lot of people would feel like kind of agree with you more than you realize. Like they think
Mhm.
Revolver is like not weird yet. They didn't do their weird total trippy thing. They're still playing like rock music, but they're also not doo-woppy. And so
Yeah.
it grabs a lot of people, a lot of classic rock people that grew up with this music too. And
Yeah.
people that come onto this later because they hear things. People hear things like Revolver, White Album, like Sergeant Pepper. They hear those like
Yeah.
albums like that's when they were really experimenting with music and all this stuff, and so I do think a lot of people do like this album. That would be right there with you. I did,
Mhm.
however, for me, put it in B tier. I did have it, like I said, in A for a while, and so like any day of the week, you could be like, rank these albums for me, and I could be playing them, and all of a sudden, Help and Revolver could jump out of my B tier and go into my A tier, and Rubber Soul and another album that's in my A tier could drop down to B. Any day of the week that could. It just depends on like my
Yeah.
mood and my frame of mind, I think, too, a little bit. Because I just noticed like in the last couple weeks, Revolver and Rubber Soul going back and forth with each other. But yeah, I like it. That like I said, Taxman is just such a rocking song, and who can't relate to hating the Taxman? I mean, to talk about
Yeah,
like a
this is
song,
this is where they got their screw you money, in
right,
fans.
Yeah.
right,
They can say whatever they want. They're not
right,
going to get this
because
Yeah.
band.
look at
They
Help,
have they
Hard
have a
Day's
voice.
Night, and Rubber
Yeah,
Soul. They kind of got
they
a
named the
formula.
ministers. They named the tax ministers in the
Right.
song.
Well, they could have
Keith and
they
what's
had
his
already
face
built a
just called
formula
them
with
out.
like this acoustic rock music, and they didn't have to do this album. They could have stayed safe with what they knew worked, and they just kept
Mhm.
pushing. And this is what makes them a great band, right? They kept pushing and didn't just stay safe. I guess I feel like. So for me, this was B. Michael, Where'd you put this one?
Yeah, this was another A tier for me. It
Nice.
just was a kind of a natural progression from Rubber Soul.
Right.
It has some really good hits on it. Love Taxman, love Eleanor Rigby. And I like some of the more fun songs, Yellow Submarine,
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Oh
Because
yeah.
Dr.
that's a
I
Robert.
mean,
fun
come on.
sing-along
Come on,
song.
Dr. Robert. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dr. Robert's
Yeah.
fun. Gotta
Yeah.
Get You Into My Life. Like they have this
Mhm.
whole variety. It's like a showcase of all the stuff that they can do and do really well,
Yeah.
from the most cutting edge stuff all the way back to,
I think there
what
was
they
like,
sounded like originally, but
yeah,
everything's just up to a new level.
there was a few years ago that, I mean, this was a few years ago, and it's like I knew "Gotta Get You Into My Life" was a Beatles song, but it's toward the end of the album. It's one of those ones we
Mhm.
forget about sometimes.
Sure.
And there was one of those
And you're
like
like, oh hell yeah,
there's one of
yeah.
those drug commercials, like, hey,
Yeah.
are you
Yes.
depressed? Talk to
Motor
your
fuel
doctor
commercials. Yeah.
about
Yeah.
Lazempic or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're
It's
like,
been very too long.
gotta get you
Yeah.
into my
Yeah.
life. And it's
Yeah.
like all
Yeah.
sunny
Yeah.
outside. And I'm like, wait, who plays that song? And I was like, oh crap, that's the Beatles. That's such a good
It
song.
is.
You just forget
Yeah.
Yeah.
about it.
Still a great song.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like this album a lot. I think it's one of their more fun ones.
Yeah. Awesome. Nice. A tier for Sanders. All right, cool. Matt, why don't you take us to
Yeah.
Sergeant Pepper? Take us to
This
Sergeant
is my
Pepper
first.
Land.
This is my first S tier.
Nice. S tier
Yeah.
for
I
me.
mean, it's just one of those. This is one of these albums, right? It can either be S or like C, because if you're just in it for the singles, like Little Help from My Friends, Lucy in the Sky, When I'm
Hmm.
64
Yeah.
and stuff. But if you listen to it for the rock opera that it is, it's immaculate. It doesn't miss. Being for the benefit of Mr. Kite's one of the most underrated Beatles songs. I mean, it's great. Within You, Without You. That is the only George Harrison sitar BS that he plays that I actually like. When I'm 64 is your typical Paul McCartney. Let's have fun. And A Day in the Life. Good God, that's probably one of the most perfect songs ever written. And it's a collab between Paul and John Lennon. Like John Lennon, I got a piece of this song. Paul's like, I got a piece of this song. Woke up, got out of bed.
Yeah.
And John's like, I saw in the newspaper the guy who committed suicide at a red light. Hey, we can just mix this together and make it the life of Matt Rushing. And so it just became an autobiography about how depressing my shit is, and it's perfect. But literally, like, and I understand the debate. It could be a B, it could be a C, it could be an A. I put it in S because it's a rock opera in the 60s.
Yeah.
I don't know if Paul had planned it that way, when he
Yeah.
brought it to everyone. But the way it all just, okay, here's what we did, here's where we got to. Now let's tell a story.
Right.
And there's a story there.
Well, it's funny because rock operas weren't a thing at the time, right? Like it's all right. They weren't a thing. If I'm not wrong,
I don't even think it was intentional. I think it was
I
like, hey, let's
I
just tell
know.
the story
So
of this
yet
fictional
again,
band.
if that's the
This is the
case,
Paul is dead theory, right?
if
So
that's
you have Billy Shears at the beginning,
right,
and you have all the controversies going. You just have
and
a lot going on in
if
this
that's the
record.
case that it
You
is a
can't dismiss
rock,
it.
an unintentional rock opera, then there's another thing they
Mm.
invented when it comes to music. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Having a
Yeah.
thematic through line on an album. I mean, how inventive and creative to like we are the Beatles. Anything it's like what Matt said earlier. We could the Tommy Boy quote of we could put shit in a box and sell it to you, and
Mhm.
it wouldn't because I'm
Mhm.
selling you a guarantee. They could do that. They
They
could
didn't have
sell
to do
a
this.
guaranteed piece of shit, and it would still
Yeah.
be awesome. I mean, it would still sell.
They
Right?
just said, what's the next thing we can do? Let's
Right.
tell a
Well,
story.
and so instead of like using their name, they're even like, hey, let's not. I mean, I know they use the Beatles, but they're like, let's pretend we're a different band. Let's not pretend
Sure.
we're us.
Yeah.
Just that whole creative and in the cover of the album, the colorful aesthetic that cover of that album has,
And then they're shitting on all the modern celebrities of the time.
it encompasses
Their fake feud with the Rolling Stones and all that stuff is on the cover.
Well,
I mean,
it
it's perfect.
encompasses
It's perfect.
and
Yeah.
it embraces that whole hippie like 60s colorful mindset of that time period, but the whole album sounds like the way the cover is. Like if you look at a cup, like if you ever look at a
Yeah.
picture or you look at a piece of like art or something and you're like the colors and stuff give you a vibe, they give you a feeling, like the feeling that you get when you look at the cover of Sergeant Pepper's and then you put it on. Every song feels like it should based off looking on that cover. I just can't. And so that gives it that thematic whole through line even more, in my opinion. Like I just think it's incredible. I love Getting Better. The song Getting Better and Fixing a Hole are like two
Yep.
amazing songs. I mean, here we are again, like just like going from Rubber Soul to Revolver to this, and not staying content in a sound,
Mhm.
being willing to like experiment and change and and break boundaries with music and stuff like that. I mean, it was so awesome. And so even with all this
And
praise, um, I, Rolling Stone in one of their reviews not long ago, like they had like a top 50 ranking, and not that this should matter, right? Because us being music snobs, or even if we don't want to say we are, we probably are kind of to other people because we all love music and have strong opinions about it. So like the opinion of Rolling Stone shouldn't matter, but they did rank this as like the number one greatest rock album of all time. And so like, you know, I don't think that's by accident. Like I still didn't put this in my S tier. Crazy.
you
I have two
are
others.
a
I have
stack
two,
of wet.
I have two others I'm still
You
putting in
can't
S
with the
tier.
Beatles and you start here.
I wanted
Commit suicide.
so me and you, when I texted you, my first
Yeah.
thing was this album and another one that's coming up. I was like, I know they're in my
Yeah.
S tier. I listened to the
I know
Beatles
which ones you're
so
gonna pick.
much.
I know.
I
I know what
knew
you're.
they
I
were
know
going to
what you're
be
gonna
in my
pick.
S tier.
Yeah.
And then the more I listened to them, I was like, this is an A. I love Sergeant Pepper, and I don't argue. I couldn't argue with anyone putting this in their S tier. It's just for me. While I appreciate what it did, breaking barriers with music and trying new things and the whole kind of rock opera aesthetic that it did and created. Um, I just like there's another album, two albums that are coming that I return to way more. And so when I'm ranking an album, it's not even just about like I can look at it objectively and be like, this is one of the greatest albums of all time. The way it's put together, the way it's produced, I can look at it that way. But when it comes to my subjective opinion, like I can see it as a great album, but for me, it's just not going in my S tier because there's two albums for me that I just return to way more frequently, and that's a part that plays a huge part into me like ranking something. So, Parrish, where'd you put this one, Sergeant Pepper?
Yeah, I went A tier with it. I just honestly, like, for me, my rubric was kind of like there's very
I'm still
little
here. I just have to pee.
qualitative. Whoop. Uh-oh. You lose
I'm
me.
still here. I just gonna pee.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Um, in my estimation, like the way that I think about stuff, there's no real qualitative difference between an A tier and an S tier. It's just like which one's my favorite.
Right.
Um, and
Yeah.
there's two other Beatles records that are my favorites,
Me.
and this isn't it.
Yeah.
Um, I like in trying to think of something meaningful to say about it that either A has not already been written by Rolling Stone, or B is not going to be just kind of the general consensus that four middle-aged white dudes talking about 60s rock and roll need to
Right.
be. Um, like it's hard. It's really hard to talk about something that is ultimately like it's the definition of a concept album. Like
Right.
you
Sure.
cannot talk about the history of concept albums and like the idea of what a concept album is and how it made its way into pop music, rock and roll music without this album.
Right.
Um and so like even if some of the songs aren't on it are maybe not as popular or beloved um, as their other work. Like it is consistent. That thing you were saying about um, every song on this record sounds like the album cover looks like it's holistic.
Right.
It is
Hmm.
a seamless work from beginning to end, and it does exactly what it needs to do to kind of achieve what they're going for.
Right.
Um, And like it's all that aside, like even I think it's possible creatively to do what you set out to do and create a holistic work that's still not very good.
Right.
Uh, so to come up with like one of the arguably greatest rock and roll records of all time, um, on top of all of that is just, I mean, it's amazing.
Right.
I love it.
Yes, me too. Nice. Sweet. Michael, what do you say? Where are you putting Sergeant Pepper?
This is an S tier for me.
Oh, all right. See, Matt, you're not alone. You're not alone.
Yeah, I love every decision that they made on this album.
Yes. Yep.
You know, particularly it has that rock opera feel because you start with an intro, a
Right.
song that doesn't really seem like a song. It seems like an intro to something bigger.
Yep.
Right.
And so then the headlining song, who sings it? Freaking Ringo.
Ringo.
Yeah.
Right. That's awesome.
And he absolutely knocks it out.
Nails
Like
it.
it's
Nails
such a
it.
good song.
I can't
And,
think
you
of
know,
anyone else to sing it other than the Wonder Years guy.
No. Yeah, it was always a
No
Joe
Cocker.
Cocker song. And
Bill
then
Cocker,
yeah, and then when I first heard this on the album, I was like, "Oh my god, like this is that song." And oh, I
Yes.
love this.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
oh, this is so
Yep.
good. And then the next song, oh, this is so good. The next song,
Yeah.
oh man, this is great. Like golly, I love this album.
Yeah.
This and one other album are my favorites, and it would be hard for me to pick between the two which one is like my top favorite. But
Yeah.
Yep.
this is easily
Yeah.
an S tier for me.
Nice.
It's a masterpiece of an album.
It really is.
Good job, everyone.
And I say that, like,
Excited.
putting it in A tier, it is a masterpiece. Like, that's how, like,
Yeah.
so, like, if I didn't have the arbitrary rules of putting two in S tier just for conversation's sake and forcing us each to debate what we like more, I mean, this would 100% be in an S tier album for me, too. And
But it's not. But it's not.
But it's
because
not.
you made a tier list, the Beatles.
But it's funny what
I
you
just don't want
said.
the people to forget that.
It's funny what you said about Ringo
Right.
because I think he's famous or infamously known for not being the best of the singers, obviously. But
Do you know that he is the best selling? He is the best selling.
I was about
not
to
of
say-
all time,
I was
but in
about-
that time, he is the best selling of the four after they
Right.
broke
Well, I
up
was about
when
to
they
say,
originally put out records.
you have
He sold the most.
All You Need Is Love and Yellow Submarine off the last two albums, and those are the most sing-along songs ever.
Yeah,
Like, they're
that's
so
what people ultimately end up really liking. So,
right.
I mean, they're earworms.
Nice. All right. Well, sweet. So we're going to continue our trippy wave through some more trippy Beatles music of the Magical Mystery Tour. So it's funny because Matt and I, like, we've done a few tier lists together, and we talk about like different albums, and we talk about how like sometimes like a band really like succeeds with an album, and then they follow up with one almost like they're trying to recapture that last album, and you can totally feel it. Like we talked about,
Like American Idiot and
Right.
21st Century Breakdown.
right? We talked about how Green Day did that. There's so many bands that
You
do
just
that.
can't. Yeah.
However, I'm saying that people are probably thinking, so you're saying that the Beatles are chasing Sgt. Pepper with Magical Mystery Tour, doing another trippy
Yeah.
story? No,
Yes.
yes, but it worked. For me, it worked. Now, I have high nostalgia with this. This is the first. So, my dad, like, I grew up loving the Beatles because my dad, like, he loved the Beatles, one of his favorite bands, and so like his favorite albums were like Abbey Road, and he loved Hard Day's Night, and so naturally as a kid, and my mom loved the Beatles, she loved Help, my sister had Help and Hard Day's Night. I wanted to be different, right? Like, so we still have our parents' music, but we want to be different. So I remember one year asking for Magical Mystery Tour for Christmas, and I got it on tape, on cassette tape, and it was like the first Beatles album I owned, and I loved the song Strawberry Fields Forever. That's why I wanted it. But man, Magical Mystery Tour is an awesome song. The Fool on the Hill is an underrated, amazing song. Blue Jay Way is such a good song. And then, starting on track 6, we go through an epic run of I Am the Walrus, Hello Goodbye, Strawberry Fields Forever, and Penny Lane. I mean, those are 4 amazing songs. I love all of those songs. I mean, just like, and then you have Baby, You're a Rich Man, which is an amazing song, and then you go to All You Need Is Love. Again, just a great, like, put your arms around your friends, sing along song. Just such a feel good album. Like, this album just feels good. The songs are all upbeat and uplifting. Uh, I loved everything they continued. I do not think overall as an album, I do not think this is better than Sergeant Pepper's or right next to it. So like, I'm putting it in my A tier where I have Sergeant Pepper, but it's not right next to it as in like its greatness, but I do think that it is like a fantastic album, and I think it's got great songs on it, and I do have nostalgia weighing heavy. I think some Beatles fans kind of put this in, maybe would probably like, especially fans that grew up listening to the Beatles that aren't, people that are coming to it way late, talking about it way later in life, but like I think that a lot of them put it in B and C. They do kind of think it chases that Sergeant Pepper thing. But for me, it means more than that. I don't know. I put it in A tier. Parrish, where are you putting it?
Yeah, I go back to my theorem. I don't qualitatively distinguish between an A and an S. It's just a matter of which one's my favorite. And this is one of my favorites. Like, I think I heard an interview with Jim Downey, who was Norm Macdonald's writing partner on
Yeah.
Weekend Update. And they talked about like their approach to writing jokes as like, you got to cut into the muscle. Like, if you want to write a really good tight joke, you've got to trim every bit of fat off of it so much that like you even get into what's probably good, but it's just not great.
Mm-hmm.
And this album to me feels like they did not pad it with extra. Like, they didn't put fluff in there just to make the runtime longer. They didn't.
Right.
There's nothing on here that feels like they're bowing to outside pressure from the producers, from the market, from their audience, whatever. And two, again, and we'll talk more later, but like, they have not started spiraling out and kind of doing that separation thing where it's like, oh, they all clearly kind of want to do different stuff now, and the end is probably coming.
Right.
It just feels like every song on this record hits, and it's, for my money, it's a perfect record.
Yeah.
Uh, so I would say, like I said, if there was another that kind of ranked as, I don't have that, the scenario you described uh about like asking for it for Christmas and getting it on tape, like that's Revolver for me.
Right.
I
Right.
So
love
like,
that we put nostalgia and personal.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
glad
yeah,
that we can all do that. Like
Right.
like our wedding song. I
yeah,
can tear up
Right.
yeah.
and stuff.
But I mean, again, like, just like you were saying, also just the number of quintessential Beatle tracks, and like every best of album of theirs is always going to have these same songs on it.
Right.
Like,
Right.
this
Hmm.
you can't beat it for me.
So what'd you put it? Where'd you put it?
S tier.
Oh, nice. S
Nice,
tier. Oh, good.
nice.
I was thinking, I was like, God, everyone's gonna hate Magical Mystery Tour. Am I the only one that loves
No,
this
no,
album? I
it,
freaking love this album.
yeah, yeah.
All right, Michael, where'd you put it?
Yeah, I put it as A tier,
All right.
and I wanted to kind of move it down to B, only because it felt like you said, like they were trying to do Sergeant Pepper's again.
Mm-hmm.
But if you let this album stand on its own, I think it is
Hmm.
easily A tier.
Right.
Part of me kind of wishes they had just kind of gone with it and said, "This is another album by the band Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts
Yeah,
Club
Hmm.
Band,"
yeah.
Hmm. If they had
and
done
just
that, it
kind
would
of,
have been something. Yeah.
yeah, just kind of went ahead and ran with it. But it kind of feels like they halfway wanted to, halfway didn't, and
Right.
well, this is what we
Cause,
got. But what we got is amazing.
Cause
Like,
even like the
these are
cover,
still
I mean, what
banger
are they
after
wearing?
banger.
They're wearing like
Sure.
silly,
Yeah.
silly face masks or something. but it's got like
Yeah.
that bright rainbow, colorful vibe to it. So it does like even like the album just has that
So this
Sgt.
is the
Pepper's
one. This is the
vibe.
album, right? This is the album where they started trolling the fans, though, right? Where every song has a meaning and all that stuff. Like
Hmm.
with "I Am the Walrus," there was a teacher. That story John Lennon tells is there was a teacher back in high school in Liverpool, and they were analyzing Beatles' musics for like poetry or meaning or something. And he wrote a letter, and they were trying to break down. I can't remember what song it was. And so they intentionally, and John Lennon intentionally wrote "I Am the Walrus" just to screw with people. It doesn't mean anything. I don't.
Yeah. It's just a song.
And so yeah, it's just a song for a song's sake. We just
Right.
randomized.
Yep.
And in order to write those lyrics, he went on an LSD trip first, and then and then when he
It's the
saw the
costumes and the
walrus and
magical
the
mystery
Eggman.
tour and the other things. Yeah.
All right, Matt, where are you
And
at
as
in
we'll
this
find
album?
out later on, the walrus was Paul.
Yes,
So,
we
Yep.
will. In a glass onion, we find
Yep.
that out.
Yep.
mhm.
Matt, where do you
I
put it?
cannot, I can't in all good conscience give this anything less than an A.
Okay.
I originally wanted to give it a B plus because like the kind of the reverse of what Michael said about he wishes it was part two of Sergeant Pepper's band. Sergeant
Yep.
Pepper's Hard Club Band on tour in Europe, and then you have this whole other deal
Right, on a
because
magical mystery tour, right? Where Sergeant Pepper's Heart Club's
yes,
band on a
yeah,
magical mystery
because
tour,
I
right?
I honestly, if I didn't have a soul, I would make this a B plus, but
You
it's
have a
definitely
soul?
mm. So anyway, between the North and South Tower, I'm kidding. so,
Somewhere between the
so
two.
anyway, yeah. So if you took literally, I love the opener. Yeah. So this is what it did to me. I'm trying to get my ADHD brain together. So it started out as another rock opera, the Magical Mystery Tour. Here we
Right.
go, and then it just never went on tour. It doesn't really tell a story.
Yeah.
It's like
Right.
here, let's all get on this bus full of songs. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it didn't really work for me in that category. It's A tier because it's a damn good classic all
Right.
time. You know,
Yeah.
like you can't get away from it. So I wish you could take I'm the Walrus, Hello Goodbye, Strawberry Fields, Penny Lane, All You Need Is Love, and Your Mother Should Know, and slap them all on Sergeant Pepper's.
Yeah.
Then it would be whatever S plus tier is, and we
Yeah,
wouldn't
like
even need
the
this.
best ever.
So you know what I mean. It really
Yeah.
seems like
Yeah.
those
No,
songs.
I get it.
I don't like the Full on the Hill. I don't like Blue Jay Way. I don't like
Right.
Flying. But I love Your Mother Should Know. It's a quintessential Paul McCartney. I love that song. Man, I jam. The talent comes on. I'm singing.
Yeah.
But the songs are so damn good. It's A tier. I
Right.
can't give it. I can't give it a B plus. It's got to be an A minus. A minus for
Right.
me.
It really is tough because it's like I get what you're saying about how like
Yeah.
it starts like it's gonna be Sergeant Pepper, but then it changes and but the songs are so good I can't do anything
And here's the deal. It's not just us speculating. Like Paul McCartney has said in interviews, this was another rock opera
right.
style that they
Okay.
were trying to do.
Yeah.
So that's where my
False.
correct opinion came in.
You're yeah. All right. Cool, man. All right. So now that takes us to 19. So that was both in 67 was Sergeant Pepper and Magical
Crazy.
Mystery Tour both
Crazy.
in 1967.
Crazy.
All of those songs, quintessential Beatles songs that everyone knows, like in that
Woo!
year, right? 6-7,
Yeah.
year of 6-7. It's not accidental.
Insane. And this is right in the height of the hippie hate Ashbury drug movement in
Right,
Vietnam and all that
right.
shit.
All
Two of the
right.
most unthinkable shit.
So that takes us to 68, the 1968's The White Album. Um, I'll start us, I guess. Man. So you know what's funny is when I started listening to these, there was a part of me that wanted the White Album to be like an A tier or B tier for me because I didn't want to pick it as an S tier because I feel like that's like the like
The standard.
music's the music snob thing to do. Like, you go to a party and someone knows more music than you, and you're like, yeah, but have you heard the Beatles' White Album? Like, and they're like, that's like where all the good stuff is. You've never heard that? Let me guess, all you know is Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, you know? And like, you don't know about Guitars Crying. And I just like, and I feel like that's kind of how that is. And so I didn't want to put it in S tier because I didn't want to feel like I was one of those people. Uh, and so as I was listening to it, and I tried to like literally not put this in S tier. Uh, I tried to like make the excuse of it's a double album, and typically I don't love double albums. I mean, when I was a teenager, yes, I remember when you saw an album that had 30 songs on it, you wanted that because buying a CD you could only buy so much, and so the more
Yep.
songs, the better. We didn't realize in our teenage brains like maybe this is a B side or not as good, right? And so I try to like a lot of times I don't love double albums because there's a lot of filler that happens in those. And so as I was re-listening to this, I was like, surely I know I don't like Piggies, and I know I don't like the Wild Honey Pie song. That's not really a song, right? And I knew I didn't like those on disc one, and I was thinking, surely there's some more as I listened to disc one of 17 songs that there's going to be filler. And good God, there wasn't for me. There was not filler. In 15 out of 17 songs on disc one, I loved. I love Back in the USSR. Dear Prudence is beautiful. Obla Di, Obla Da, whatever. I know John doesn't like it. Suck it, John Lennon. I think it's a good song, Paul. Uh,
That is, hey, that is not true. They did a recent Paul McCartney interview back in the late 20 teens,
oh,
and
really?
On Howard Stern, he said that's not true. He said John was just he was just kind of out and about.
He's just talking
He was late
shit.
to rehearsal. No, he was late to rehearsal, and he showed up and he goes, "Hey, what are you guys working on?"
Right,
And they said
because he
that
was
Oklahoma Deep song. Oh, okay.
shooting
And
a
he sat
warm
down to
gun
the
up his
piano and
wrist.
immediately no, John literally sat down at the piano and came up with that piano part
Um,
immediately. He goes, "Oh, like this," and then that was
well,
it.
uh,
He didn't
I
have an opinion one way or the other.
I
So that's a
love
myth.
that song. I love Glass Onion. I love
Happiness
Bumblebee
is a warm gun.
Bill. Happiness is a Warm Gun is awesome. While My Guitar Gently Weeps is beautiful. Blackbird is beautiful. Rocky Raccoon is a cool little soulful like country twist of a song. I Will and Julia. I mean, these are all Don't Pass Me By. These are all fantastic songs. Birthday. I don't listen to that often, but it's a fun song to play for someone on their birthday. Your Blues on disc 2 is amazing. Sexy Sadie's a cool song. Helter Skelter. That's like the first punk rock song. And
Metal song. It's some first metal song.
I'm like a punk rock junkie, and the bass in that is just driving so hard and so like in so much like great like punk music has driving basses. And I love this album. I don't even care that disc 2, yes, disc 2 has some filters. Do we really need the extra, revolution songs and stuff that are recorded with horns or whatever? I don't really know. I mean, do I? Yes, I will flat out say disc 2 has filler. Disc one doesn't to me. Even and I just don't like Piggies. Okay, this is a stupid song, but it's got everything from the rocking, from the rocking songs that you want to the beautiful ballad songs of While My Guitar Gently Weeps and Blackbird to the weird trippy songs that they do so well, like Happiness is a Warm Gun, and the way that song ends is so good. Like I again, I put this in A. I listened to Sergeant Pepper's. I was like, that's a perfect album. That's an S tier. And I listened to this, and I was like, oh damn, I'm gonna listen. I would listen to most of these songs on disc one way before I'd listen to Sergeant Pepper's. And so, anyways, long spiel. I had to put it in S tier. Sorry for that long little spiel of not wanting to, but I did. It's such a good album. Parrish, where do you put it?
I'm gonna come at it from the other direction. I put it in B tier.
All right.
Partly because I mean I made the comment about cutting into the muscle on the last one in part so that I could talk about this one. Which, like, I agree with you. Disc 1 is nothing but bangers. But, like, even if they had trimmed this down to, like, just the good stuff and gotten rid of Piggies and whatever other songs don't necessarily blow your skirt up,
Right.
While My Guitar Gently Weeps is an S tier Harrison song, right? Like, back in the USSR, I mean, this is where it starts to fracture for me. Like, Blackbird, S tier Paul McCartney song, right? Happiness is a Warm Gun, S tier John Lennon
John
song.
Lennon, all the
None of
way.
these though are really like S tier Beatles songs. They kind of like it. Again, I know that they are still cranking out really good music, and I'm so grateful for it. But if you were again like just redact all of the names and imagine trying to pitch this album to a record executive of like, hey, me and my weird experimental artist girlfriend have decided to shake things up by just taking over half of these songs and doing something that nobody else in the band really wants to do, but everybody else is kind of just going along with. Like, there's a lot of ways that the idea of it doesn't work, and which is such a like for me, it's so tragic coming off of these two really good concept albums into this thing where it's like, yeah, we're
Tragic.
gonna let
He said
everybody.
tragic.
Yeah, I mean, they're like we just kind of let everybody decide what they wanted to do and we didn't tell anybody
Yeah.
no,
Right.
right? Like,
Right.
and again, as a result, we have some of the best music ever written, but it just feels like okay, they're starting to kind of get sick of each other. They're starting to kind of get sick of what they're doing together, and yeah,
Yeah,
so
and
it's easier for me.
it makes sense. I mean, because while 1968 they've only been recording albums for 5 years, but I think like the late 50s is when John and Paul started playing together. So they've been probably
Mhm.
like constantly with each other for a decade. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
said,
Sure.
they weren't across the country from each other. They got up in the morning, they got together, they were trying to write
Mhm.
music, so they're probably sick of each other at that point too.
Well, but they're still so good at it. Like,
Right,
I mean,
right.
it's such a testament that we do have back in the USSR and While My Guitar Gently Weeps and Blackbird and Birthday and all like there's so many good tracks on here
Right,
because these are some of the best musicians that have ever lived.
right.
Mhm.
They're just kind of starting to lose the thing that holds them together and makes it like really that greases all the wheels.
Yeah, yeah. All right, Michael, what did you say? Where are you putting this one?
Lost
There we
her. There you go.
go. Yeah, I'm with Parrish. I hadn't thought about uh what he said from that perspective, but I'm realizing now that I feel the same way because of that reason. So I also put this in B tier. And I was thinking because like this is a great collection of Beatles songs, but it's just too damn long.
Yeah, yeah.
And like like you said, Mike, like most of the stuff is good, like really good classic Beatles songs that most people know. But yeah, for me, like I'm listening through this album and I'm missing what Sergeant Pepper's and Mystery Tour had, which
Right.
was this flow, and you had a start, you had a finish, and it felt like a good length. And I think what Parrish said, that now we're mostly just hearing songs from the individuals in the Beatles, but we're not hearing as much collaboration as we did on the previous albums. And I think probably the highest amount of collaboration was in those real early albums between John and Paul,
Right,
where they were both coming from, we want to play blues, we want to play skiffle, so we're like
right,
right there together.
right,
And then as they progressed, they both progressed beyond that, and they were still highly collaborative. And so you
right,
had these really good songs that were a little more experimental. But now here in the White Album, we have so many ideas, and no one's saying no to
right,
any of them
right.
yet.
And you have
I think
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you have John and
You
Paul
wouldn't dare. You wouldn't dare. Yeah.
well, you have John and Paul who, like you said, have been such prolific songwriters. And then you
Mhm.
probably have people like George Harrison who are writing While My Guitar Gently Weeps, a
hmm
beautiful song, who's probably feeling
Mhm.
like I can do this too. But I mean, imagine being with John Lennon and Paul McCartney, two of the greatest songwriters, and
Yeah.
you're George Harrison who has written amazing songs and you feel like you're on the outside. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like it,
your songs are getting put on the fridge,
right,
but
right. They're getting hung on the
like that's
good
so nice.
job, white ribbon. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, this album, like I think it's a bunch of A tier songs, but just it goes on for too long and it doesn't feel as cohesive as they have before. But
Nice.
there's a lot to like
Right.
on this album for sure. But I think it more than one I would go back and listen to from beginning to end. This is just one I would go back and pick out individual songs from to
Sure.
listen
Right.
to.
Yep.
Yeah. Matt, what do you say for White Album?
Oh man. Now that I've heard other perspectives,
It makes you think about it,
I'm
huh?
gonna.
Did
Yeah.
we ruin it for you?
No, you didn't. You actually helped me solidify my B plus. Um,
Because you were leaning on
I'm gonna
A
give
or
it a.
B.
I was leaning on A.
Yeah.
Um, but let me come at it from your simple scumbag who just likes to hear the pop songs, right? Who just likes to hear the hits. This all could have been one album. Dear Prudence is amazing. I like it. I love the bass line. Glass Onion sucks ass. Wild Honey Bee is terrible. While My Guitar Gently Weeps is probably the greatest rock song ever written. It is my favorite Beatles song. Whenever they say, hey, you can't pick one favorite Beatles song, I can. That's While My Guitar Gently Weeps. And Eric Clapton's playing the solo. So, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Having This Warm Ground is great. Martha, My Dear sucks ass. I'm
Uh,
So Tired is great. Blackbird is great. Piggy sucks. Rocky Raccoon sucks. Don't Pass Me By sucks. Why don't we do it in the road filler? It's fun. It is fun. Yeah,
yeah.
that's one. That's one
Yeah.
my wife and I we sing to each other all the time. Why are you doing that
What
one?
is
I sing,
And
yeah,
have
I
y'all ever
will
done it in the
slop.
Besides
road?
version of Grace?
I will is slop. Julia is just this passive song that John Lennon. I knew this nanny back in the day or whatever, and I'm singing the song or whatever. Julia sucks. Birthday is since we've already solidified the fact that we can do personal stuff. Every birthday, myself, the children, and Courtney, we always wake each other up with "Birthday" by the Beatles. So gotta love it. Your Blues, one of my favorite Beatles songs, is on here. I love it. It's just John Lennon just wailing on it. Mother Nature Son sucks. Everyone's got something to hide. Sucks. Sexy Sadie sucks. Helter Skelter is awesome. That's the first metal song. I mean, they invented shit,
Right.
there. Long, long, long sucks. Honey Pie, I do like Honey Pie because that is your typical pop. There's Paul McCartney's song on the album. It's Honey Pie. You know what I mean? I,
Yeah.
I like that one. I hate this version of Revolution. I hate this acoustic version of it. I love the single version where they shred. You know, it's not on the record. It's a single. Revolution number 9 sucks ass. Crybaby. I mean, the majority of it sucks ass, but all the songs that are on it that are awesome, that are on there, that are good, are out fucking standing. They're so good.
Yeah, they are.
They're so good. I mean, you can't deny it. But if you can take those 10 or 12 songs and make that a record called The Beatles Kicks in Dick, then there's your S. But they don't. They have a combination of what Parrish and Sanders said. It's too many songs with a bunch of fluff that weren't all in the same room. Just like I described Obla D, it's one of my favorite Beatles songs. But there's your Paul McCartney song. John Lennon's like, we haven't done this shit. Let me just do this real quick, and then they banged it out. So for the songs that kill it that are on it, they are A tier songs.
Yeah.
Maybe even S tier with Helter Skelter and some stuff. The problem is it's too long. It's long winded. It's a double record, and I appreciate what you had to say, Fincher. Like I do get it, but
But it doesn't kick enough
there's not
dick.
enough
It
substance
doesn't kick
there.
enough
It
dick for you.
doesn't kick enough. No, not at all.
Okay.
Not on there.
I
So I give
understand.
it a B plus. I know we don't do pluses and stuff, but
Ah, it's
a
okay.
B. I'm
No, but
ashamed. It
it's
should be an
also
A, but it's a B.
look. It is relevant though. Like even like a B plus, then we know like it's higher up on my B scale than like this because that is relative when you're ranking something. Sometimes something's like this isn't so bad it should be in the C tier, but it's like not as good as something else that I feel like shouldn't be in the A tier, right? So there's like that
Yeah.
weird level for sure. So yeah, all right, cool, man. Um, the next album is Yellow Submarine, and I'm just gonna go and keep this short for me. You guys can say whatever you want about it. We got an album that's basically a soundtrack, but the reason I put it on here as something we were ranking was because technically it's on their like discography as part of their 14 studio albums, even though it's like a soundtrack. And we already like Yellow Submarine. What that was on Revolver. That was like 3 albums ago. So like most of these songs, these Beatles songs, are all you need is love. Like they're songs that we've already heard. So there's nothing new here. The only thing new I think that's not like what is it, George Martin who does the music on it. I think it's George Martin who does the orchestral music on it. Like his
Mhm.
stuff is obviously new, but it's like soundtrack stuff. The one new song is Hey Bulldog, and that song is awesome. Hey Bulldog is an awesome song. It rocks. Um, but it alone cannot take me from the D tier. I put it in D tier. I like Yellow Submarine. I love All You Need Is Love. I love those songs. We've already heard them on other albums.
Yeah.
Hey Bulldog's awesome, and it's such a good song. But again, I I already had put one album technically in D tier, but I'm trying to like I guess I was trying to level it out where I had at least two in D and two in C and stuff, and so that's what kind of made me do that too. I think. I mean, I'm never gonna really listen to this. If I want to listen to Yellow Submarine and All You Need Is Love, it's when I'm listening to the other albums. When I'm listening to Revolver and stuff. Like, I mean, like I said, Hey Bulldog's the one song on here that I would put on, but I would just put that song on. I'm not gonna like jam this album ever. So Yellow Submarine's in my D
Yep.
tier. Uh, what about you, Michael?
I put this in B tier because I think it is an A tier film score, and I love film scores,
All right.
but
Okay. Nice.
but it but it's not it's barely a Beatles album, so I just was like, I'll just
Mhm.
knock it down one for that.
Right.
But yeah, I think George Martin's
Cool
score
perspective.
is beautiful.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
especially for this, really strange animated movie. Even though like it's considered one of the greatest animated movies of all time. I think I've only seen it once and it was a long time ago, so I don't really remember other than like it's that weird 60s British animation style.
Right.
Um,
It's Monty
but
Python.
yeah, Monty Python. It made me think of like, did you ever see the Star Wars Holiday Special? And it has that
Yes.
Boba. It
Yes.
has that Boba Fett cartoon
Oh
that's
yeah.
like this super weird psychedelic animation style.
Yeah.
Yes.
It reminded me of that. Um, but yeah, like it's a very beautiful film score. So I put it as a B tier.
I think George Martin did the
Cool.
strings for a lot of like Paul's songs, like was it
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yesterday and
They're good
Nowhere
for all.
Man? I think
Yeah.
he did like a
Mhm.
lot of the strings and stuff for him. So
Yeah.
he's very good, and it totally makes sense that you would rank this higher, especially if you love like soundtrack track type music. Like a lot of people, I
Yeah.
know a lot
Cool.
of people work really well. Like they work and do their job with soundtrack music playing too, and they find that like relaxing for them. Matt, where are
Yeah.
you putting Yellow Submarine?
I did the same as you. I did D.
All right.
But I will say this. I love All Together Now. I love our sing
Oh
along
yeah.
Beatles songs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can I get a little more? And I love the animation to the movie. I know it's not a movie. I like the animation because I'm a Monty Python fan, and so forth and so on. That's a cool perspective from Michael about the. I didn't listen to it as a film score. I immediately went, "This is just the Yellow Submarine movie that I didn't really like," and I love Hey Bulldog, and I like All Together Now. We
Right.
sing it, in the corner. So it's an album, a standalone album. Going, it's a Beatles album. It's a D.
Yeah.
Just for that reason.
All right. Parrish, where are you putting it?
The only reason I put it as a C and not a D is because of Hey Bulldog.
Yeah,
it's
Such a
good.
good
great.
song. So
That's a
good.
great song.
I'm glad we all agree on that.
Oh, it's such a great song, dude.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't even necessarily recognize this as a Beatles album.
Right.
I get that it is. I get why it is, but it's kind of like, dude, y'all don't
Yeah.
even write most of the music on here,
Right.
and the stuff that, like you said, the stuff that you did has already been elsewhere, and
Right.
I could take it or leave it.
Right.
I can look up Hey Bulldog on YouTube. I don't need to buy
Sure.
the
Right.
Like we were talking about off camera. Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's on my Beatles playlist single.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Made it my own single.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Me too. Sweet. All right, man. All right, that takes us to Abbey Road. Matt has a daughter named after this album, so Matt,
I sure do.
why don't you start us with Abbey Road?
There's not a lot to say. It's S tier for me. It's my other S tier album.
All
It's
right.
great all the way through. I know there's probably mix. I understand how it could be ranked lower. I really do. But just as a cohesive, no skip album. I have pop punk albums like that are no skip.
Right.
That I don't rank this high because it's the Beatles. But I mean, Here Comes the Sun.
Right.
I Want You. She's so heavy. The harmonies on that, good God. And then you have your quintessential Ringo Octopus's Garden. You have the greatest love song ever written, Something.
Oh.
I mean, you come together with my favorite bass line. Come
Mhm.
together. Oh, I mean, the
darling,
whole
yeah.
fucking album is just one. And then just the only song that I don't like, and I'm just going to be honest, even on an S tier album, I do not like Polythene Pan. I wish that wasn't on. It's one of those records where it's like, God damn it, this album would have been if
Right.
they just ended it with this song.
The crazy thing is, if the Polythene Pan, if it would have flown in from Mean Mr. Mustard straight into She Came In Through the Bathroom Window, those would have gone perfectly together.
It'd have been perfect.
Right.
The Golden Slumber, if you're gonna carry that weight at the end, and then that beautiful period at the end of the sentence with Her Majesty. It is a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece,
Yes.
in my opinion. And I can understand someone coming in wanting to listen and hear singles, and there's not a lot of singles in here and all this stuff. But just as a cohesive, let's sit down and have dinner and put on a Beatles record. This will be it every single time. And I named my daughter Abigail Road Rushing, after this record because I love it so much. Courtney, my wife, and myself.
Yeah, man. I'm right there with
Where
you.
does Maxwell's Silver Hammer fall in that for you?
Oh, I love it, dude. About a serial killer? Are you kidding me? I'm a horror writer. I love it. I freaking love it. Bang, bang, man. And I know John Lennon hated the song, and there's all that controversy. It's still a good damn song. And if we had had another son, if we would have had another child, we were going to name him Maxwell Edison. So
what's funny is so what's crazy is this album released in 1969. This album was their last to record. So after Let It Be, they recorded Let It Be before this, but it was actually released in 1970 afterwards. And then they broke up.
Yeah.
And so what happened was, if you've ever watched Get It Back, there was, the turmoil that we've all talked about. They've started to all want to write their different songs. George is feeling not heard or being told what to do by Paul, and Paul's annoyed. Maybe it sometimes gets a little annoyed that Yoko is always there. It's not that she's there, I don't think. It's that she was always there. And so, like, this whole thing, you see these things happening. And so, we'll talk about Let It Be more in a minute. But after Let It Be, I think after all the hoopla with that, because they were filming while they were recording the album, they were filming themselves recording this album. It was their next thing they were doing. And afterwards, Paul and John got together and they were like, we want to get together and record another album. And I mean, they didn't say officially when they were going to get together that it was their last one, but they decided they wanted to get together because they didn't love exactly how all the recording stuff happened with Let It Be. And by God, thank you for doing that. Because if we would have gone from the White Album and Yellow Submarine to like Let It Be as the end without this,
Yeah.
it would have been a lot harder to digest Let It Be. And man,
Yeah.
you can tell that they got together and said, we want to come in and we want to record one more album, because that's what they did. I mean, the hits are at the beginning, right? Come Together,
Sure. Yeah.
Something,
Yeah.
Oh
Mhm.
Darling, Octopus's Garden,
It,
I
it,
Want
it,
You.
it sounds like poetry, right?
Right. Well, and I
So
Want
you
You.
have your hits up top, and then you just have poetry to
Right,
finish off.
right. Because like Here Comes the Sun is like the last big hit in track 7,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
it goes all the
Yep.
way to track 17, and the last like 5 tracks flow into each other so well, and it's
Just
not like a rock opera telling a story, but they
they
all
didn't plan that either.
they
They didn't plan it. It
all
was just written that way.
flow, and it's
Yeah.
crazy
Yeah.
too because like songs like Carry That Weight, you would see
hmm
glimpses of Paul working that song
hmm
out in the movie Get Back. He was starting to write Carry That
Yeah.
Weight, but that was not on Let It Be.
Yep.
It wasn't until this album. And so you can see that
Yep.
this album came out after, like, or they recorded it afterwards. But anyways, I'm 100% in agreement with Matt. Not only is this a perfect Beatles album, in my opinion, and it's an S tier album, this is when I mentioned earlier that ranking and tier listing albums are relative to the band that you do. To me, if I was saying, all right, all time albums, this is an S tier all time album for me. Not just for like Beatles, but like for like I love this album. Um, Here Comes the Sun and Something, which crazy, George. Here you go again, George,
hmm
being underappreciated. Two of the most beautiful songs ever written. I mean, Here Comes the Sun's one of my favorite Beatles songs, and Something, like Matt
hmm
said, is one of the most beautiful love songs. You play Something for any girl, my
hmm
dude, any young person that
It
happens to
got your
trip onto this video on YouTube, if you are a young man and you want to impress a girl, put Something on a playlist. I'm telling you, put the song Something on a playlist.
Whatever, old man.
Yeah,
dude.
it's so
The
The bass
good.
Beatles
is really
panty
cool in that
dropping
too.
I'm
edition.
telling you, girls
Yeah.
like that old, when they hear an old song, that classic sound gets those romantic things fluttering in their heart, dude.
Yeah. And to think that he wrote that about Ginger Baker. He wrote that song about the girl that cheated on him with Eric Clapton. And he
Really?
wrote yes, and he wrote that song for her, and he wrote Here Comes the Sun whilst vacationing with Clapton during that affair.
Oh, God.
So you're two of the most iconic songs while his wife was banging Eric Clapton. So there's your panty
Oh, there
dropper
you
for you.
go. There you go. Yeah.
There's the irony of a life. There's the irony of a life right there.
All right, Michael, what do you say about Abbey Road? Where are you putting this one?
This was an A tier for me,
All right.
kind of for the reasons that Parrish has said about there's no like functional difference between A and S tier other than which ones are my favorite.
Right.
And so I
Sure.
love this album. Like y'all have said, it's just filled with really great songs, has a great flow. It's a little long for me, like you said, Matt, Polythene Pam.
Yeah. Yeah.
That there's a little bit of filler, but overall, yeah, it's just great one after great one. Um, this is the album that I introduced one of my daughters to the Beatles with,
Nice.
and she loves
Nice.
Maxwell Silverhammer. That's like one of her
Heck
favorite
yeah.
all-time songs now.
Ooh.
And it's funny.
Did she
So
do the
like,
bang bang every time?
yeah, and she's like, I think she is like you, Matt. And she likes that it's about a serial killer, like
Yes.
that. She's kind of into the macabre,
Yeah.
but also like
Killed the
she,
judge, right?
yeah, she's into modern artists that are that kind of weird, quirky stuff. I don't know if y'all have listened to Jack Stauber's Micropop.
Uh-uh.
But it's kind of weird, quirky music, fun, silly here and there, but
Mhm.
like about some interestingly serious topics. But Maxwell Silverhammer fits right in with that kind of stuff that she likes. But yeah, this is like y'all have said, this is an excellent album. So I put it A tier only
Nice.
because It's not. There is one other that is S tier for me that we'll get to. I think we'll get to it. We'll get to it, right?
Yes.
I
We
know
should.
there's
Is
only
it Let It Be?
one. Well, one
There's
more
two more.
album, but then there's
Technically
yes.
two.
Okay.
And
Oh
we're
yeah,
gonna
yeah, yeah.
we're yes, we will do both of them at the same time. We will do them
Okay.
simultaneously.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right,
Because I
Parrish.
definitely have different feelings about them.
Me too. Me too. And as you
Yep.
should. If you don't have different feelings, you're
Yeah,
weird.
yeah, yeah.
Parrish, what do you think? Where are you putting Abbey Road?
I'm gonna put it in A tier.
All right.
Somewhat obligatorily. I wish this had been the last Beatles album. Like
Right.
this,
Right. Thank
this
you.
feels like
I
a
do
really
too.
good.
Can you imagine going out on this?
For me, like looking at a whole body of work and trying to speak contextually of like with the benefit of hindsight.
Right.
Um, like this is really a good. It's a good record. It is filled with great songs. It is also filled with Polythene Pam and for me
Uh-huh,
Maxwell Silverhammer. The only reason I like
yeah, yeah,
Maxwell
yeah.
Silverhammer is
That's
because
either you love it or hate it. I get it.
and that's the thing. Like again, it's not an objectively good song, right?
Right.
Like it's a
Mhm, mhm,
specifically good song for a
mhm,
specific kind of
mhm.
person or people that appreciate this version of what the Beatles were
Right.
really good at putting out. But like even we mentioned Oh Darling. Like Oh Darling is I like the creative it's almost like a commentary on where they started in my book. Like you hear
Yes, it's
like
got the
they,
old Beatles sound to it,
yeah,
kind
like
of.
this is
Yeah,
this by every metric, it's an old Beatles song.
it's like they're
It's being
calling back to
played
their
by
past one last time.
yeah,
Yeah,
like it's being played
yeah.
by people at the height of their powers. This is the best they will ever be as a band. Like they know what they are doing now and have like put everything they are into this. And so I mean to a certain extent, like I kind of have that musical hipsterism. Like I don't want to
Hmm,
call this an A tier album because everybody calls this an A tier or S tier
hmm.
album.
But
Um,
I mean, come on,
but you can't
come
argue.
on.
It's
Yeah.
just you have to. Again, if Polythene Pam is the worst track on this thing, it's still an objectively phenomenal album.
Right.
So yeah, it's A tier all the way for me.
Nice. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I agree too, and I could see how like someone wouldn't necessarily put it in their S tier for sure. And
Sure,
I can see like
sure.
when you're looking at other Beatles albums having like definitely having albums that are favorites, but man,
Hmm.
I would have a hard time listening to someone's perspective on like putting this on C or D tier. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like if
dude.
this
Oh
was
yeah,
like
for
their
sure.
C or D tier album, I'd be like, dude,
I
Yeah.
mean I
you're
can
just
understand
trying to be controversial then.
You just don't know what guitars sound like
Right,
at
right.
this point.
All right, man. Well, this takes us to their last official studio album, but technically not their last recorded album. Because, like I
Okay, so we're
said,
talking about Let It Be and Let It
we're
Be Naked,
we're
right?
talking about Let It Be because Let It Be was released in 1970, but it was recorded before
Mhm.
Abbey Road sessions. And I think it was Phil Orchestra that ended up like mixing some of this. And man, so we're going to talk about these last two albums, Let It Be, and then in 2012, 16, when did that come out? Let It Be Naked came out in like
2003.
2003, 2003.
Three.
So
Yeah.
I remember when I got that because I remember Let It Be. Obviously, Let It Be is like a classic song. Who doesn't know the song Let It Be, right? And at this point, 2003, like I'm graduated high school. I'm finally like not like stubborn about this is my dad's music. It's good. I like a lot of it, right? And stuff. But I remember like thinking like Let It Be, like yeah, it had Get Back on it. That was a really good song. It had Let It Be, but I remember like not really loving that album, like thinking it was just okay. And then when Let It Be Naked came out, man, I loved it. And honestly, like I've known since then for 20 years now that Let It Be Naked was, in my opinion, way better than Let It Be. Um, and all it does is add one song. But first off, um, the fact that uh, "Don't Let Me Down" was not included on the original Let It Be album
Wild.
is a bad is it's just
Wild.
yeah, it's a shit.
Wildly bad take.
That is
Wild, shitty take.
I mean, that song makes "Let It Be Naked" so much better already because that song is so good. And in fact, if you watch the movie Get Back that Peter Jackson did, it's on Disney Plus. The last episode is them playing their final show.
Is this episode being sponsored by Disney Plus?
Yes, please. Thank you, Disney Plus.
Dude, I want a piece. I want a piece.
Yeah.
Enter your code Albino Rhino for.
I want some of that Disney money.
We but like in that show, like when they're recording, they are recording this album in 2 weeks. So they set up this thing where they're filming them recording this album, Let It Be, and their goal is to be done in 2 weeks and then put on a show. So the fact that gave me a kind of different perspective on Let It Be. Let me just say, Let It Be would be a C tier album for me, but because of the movie or miniseries Get Back's existence and really letting me see like, hey, they wrote this album in 2 weeks, and the fact that like Let It Be, and when you rearrange the songs in the order that it should be in, as in Let It Be Naked, when you have songs like Two of Us and I've Got a Feeling that follow each other, man, it makes I've Got a Feeling so much more impactful. It makes Two of Us so much more impactful. And then you go into One After 909 and then Don't Let Me Down, and then Don't Let Me Down followed by I Me Mine makes that George Harrison I Me Mine song not so lame, because Don't Let Me Down was awesome. And so it really brings up that song. Like I'm telling you, even if the mixes are a little different, but beyond the mixes, track listing can make or break a song, an album.
I agree.
And I'm telling you, Let It Be Naked, the track listing alone, starting with Get Back instead of ending with Get Back, sets the tone for this album and makes it totally different. And ending with Across the Universe and Let It Be, having Let It Be and Get Back bookend this album makes it epic. And I can't put it in my S tier still, but it is Let It Be Naked is 100% in my A tier. And I love the song The Two of Us. Did not know how much I appreciated that song until it was on Let It Be Naked. Did not realize how much I even appreciated I've Got a Feeling until it was on here. And I'll tell you this, the one Beatles song I hate with all my heart. I mean, I don't like Piggies. The Long and Winding Road. I hate the Long and Winding Road.
I hate that fucking song. I hate that song.
But I'll tell you what, on Let It Be Naked,
it's
more digestible. And Let It Be Naked, it is more digestible because there's not as much weird mixing on it. There is something that's Sanders is walking off.
The Long and Winding Road is so pretentious, and it should have been on Paul McCartney's first solo record.
Dude, I'm telling you, the Long and Winding Road and Across the Universe are so much better though on Let It Be Naked. Something about the mix is changed on it. Something is taken off. So, anyways, I did put Let It Be the original in B tier, only because the fact that I look back and see that they recorded all those songs in 2 weeks, and when I see them rearranged on Let It Be Naked, I see how good those songs can be. And so Let It Be Naked's A tier and Let It Be is a B tier for me. So, Sanders, what do you say, bud?
Yeah, I had the similar feelings about the original Let It Be. It's a B tier for me. It's one that I had never really given a lot of credence until Naked came out. And it made me realize they had this. To me, Let It Be is kind of their magnum opus, because it feels like they came back together, and I know they were under a lot of pressure, but like they were probably under a lot of pressure in those early albums too,
right,
when they were just laying down track after track after track 6 months apart. And this felt like they were being collaborative again, and almost kind of uh, the greatest hits that we never wrote until now, because it kind of hits on all the different eras of
The
the Beatles.
sounds, right? It does. It does.
Uh, yeah, the
Because you
styles
got
go all the way
that
back to
folksy
their
sound, that's the
yeah.
early Beatles mixed with some of the more psychedelic and classic rock sounds. Yeah.
Yeah, because One After 909 goes straight back to their skiffle roots,
Right.
and then
Hmm.
uh, but they come, all the way to how they are in their later years too. Um, but it feels like the original Let It Be, like their producer, I think he tried too hard to make it fit in with their later stuff, because their
Yes,
later stuff had so much more strings, choirs,
Right.
electronic
notorious
stuff
George
added
Martin.
to
Yeah,
it. Yeah, his
yeah.
wall of sound stuff, and
Hmm.
so yeah, like you said, the song arrangement, but also stripping away all that extra stuff. I have to hard disagree about the Long and Winding Road. That's one of my favorite. The naked version of that is one of my favorite Beatles songs. Like, so Let It Be Naked is my second S tier, because
Nice,
Nice.
nice.
like how Sergeant Pepper's was just me, like, discovering things that music could be that I hadn't really heard before. Let It Be Naked it was like music can make me feel things that I didn't know it could make me feel.
Dude,
And
that's
yeah,
awesome.
listening to Let It Be Naked,
Yeah,
it was just
yeah,
kind of one of those transcendent musical experiences for me.
yeah.
So that was an S tier.
That's so cool
I
because
mean, two
I
of
was
us.
I felt like people might think Let It Be Naked was better than Let It Be, but I wasn't expecting it to be someone's S tier. That's pretty awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Matt, what do you say
loved
for him?
it.
Um, it's hard for me to differentiate between the two because all I have is an updated version, 2003 version, a better version of what Let It Be originally was.
Right.
And I understand we're stripping out George Martin's wall of sound and all that other stuff. If we're doing two, both of them as separate albums, if that's what we're
That's
doing,
what we're
then
doing.
first
Yep.
of all, fuck. Okay, okay. Uh, then C on Let It Be, just because I'm a singles guy. I'm sorry, I like the pop music. I'm
Yep.
a singles guy. Um, but just like Sanders said, I've got to go with A tier on Let It Be Naked because I mean, just that's the way Paul McCartney and the band envisioned that record initially, even in all the infighting.
Right.
They wanted to get back to roots, and it does. It makes you feel. I mean, I think the two of us, man. I don't think of a girlfriend or limerence of a romance past. I think of my buddies. I think of you guys. The
Right.
two of us going nowhere, and I do. It makes you feel, man. I
Right.
didn't think I'd cry on this thing, but it does. I mean, I miss friends that have passed away,
Right.
and I mean, Get Back. Oh, I love that song so much. It rocks.
Right.
Dig a Pony. I mean, it's just fun
Man.
for you, Blue. It's just fun. Um, I've got a feeling there's your Paul McCartney. Don't Let Me Down. I mean, my God, great song. I mean, mine. There you go, George Harrison. Great. Across the Universe. If I had to pick, not Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, if I had to say my favorite John Lennon Beatles song is Across the Universe. I love that song. I love that song. I mean, the lyrics alone, endless
Yeah.
drops into a paper cup. I mean, come on, it's
Yeah.
perfect.
It's
And then,
good.
I mean, Let It Be, and I love the stripped down version. It, you know, it's a shame that, like Paris said, I really wish Abbey Road. I wish this would have come out
Right.
before Abbey Road
Right.
because I
Yep.
really
Yeah.
S tiered the crap out of Abbey Road. I wish that would have been the last record,
Yeah. Me
but
too.
I mean, let it be originally. Yeah, and a lot of it honestly had to do with the live rooftop recording.
Right.
There's that stuff going on there. I don't like that mix at all.
Yeah, and
I love the
that's
studio
what
mixes better.
half the songs are from the live top rooftop
Yes, yeah,
recording.
yeah. Which
I,
which is
I
which is so punk rock. It's
It
punk
is
rock, and I love
right,
it. But
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 yeah,
but But for sticking some earbuds in my ear and jamming out in the car,
Right.
it's got to be the naked version.
Right.
It's A tier.
Right. Me too.
It's great. It's a great record. So that's where I land.
What about you, Parrish? How do you feel about these two?
Yeah, I'm not as familiar with Let It Be Naked as the original Let It Be. And I mean, I get it. I've heard some of the tracks on it. And I do agree. Like, feel like it feels obligatory. That's kind of the word that comes to mind for me. Of like, we got to put something that like really puts a final punctuation on the end of the catalog. Like, we have to close the canon,
Right.
and this is the official,
Mm-hmm.
final sanctioned album that does that.
Right.
That said, like the Tedeschi Trucks Band does a cover of "I've Got a Feeling" that is
Mm-hmm.
blazingly good. Like I love that song.
Nice.
Let It Be is a great song. Like again, that you cannot argue with results, and they definitely get results with this. But tacked on is the wrong word. But I definitely feel like you could have blended a lot of these tracks in with some of their previous works and really let Abbey Road sing the final note.
Right.
For me, it's a C tier. I just, I it's a C tier because I feel bad giving it a D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's they're still great. They have proven themselves. They are still as good as they ever were, but they are tired and they're ready to go do their own things and not be a band anymore.
Yeah.
And it shows. Like, it sounds like it. All of the other stuff, like the rooftop concert, is punk as fuck. Like,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
a lot of really good music and camaraderie and interesting cultural decisions left
Right.
in them. It's hopeful from the standpoint of like, these are guys that are all going to go on to do their own things, and they're solo. Like, I loved Wings, like,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and the traveling
Harrison,
Wilburys with George Harrison
yeah,
and Tom
like,
Petty.
Yeah.
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 they're all
Yeah.
objectively good musicians
Yeah.
that are not going anywhere, but
Right.
they need to, like, they're tired and they need to hang it up, and it just kind of shows on this.
Yeah. Yeah, and I could definitely feel it. I mean, you could definitely tell. I mean, again, 1969, whatever. They had been playing together for more than 10 years, and so that's a lot of time. But they
Well, and back to what you were saying earlier, like, they've been gigging
right,
intensely through this time.
right,
They have been turning out records left
right,
and right. Like, this isn't just a band of like, yeah, we've been friends for about 15 years
right.
and
And every 3 years we're getting
airing
together
stuff.
for a
It's like,
month to write an album. Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
we are intensely just on each other's nerves every day
Right.
for 15 years straight.
Right.
You got
But
to
that's
give
the deal. They're not touring anymore. And the White Album and all that stuff, they weren't even in the studio together hardly at all at the same time.
Yeah, I
You
think
know?
Right, but now they're suffering from being celebrities, and
Correct.
everybody like, when are they going to tour again? When are they going to tour
And
again?
having-
you,
They can't
you
live
have
normal lives.
you have John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr on the same team. I mean,
Right.
they've got to fly.
Well, and
You know what I mean?
they all have a different person in their ear, whether it's a girlfriend, a
Oh, yeah.
manager, a producer,
Publicist.
a publicist.
Oh, yeah.
Someone's in their ear
money,
telling
money,
them,
money, money.
like,
Yeah,
if Paul slightly says something negative, even if he doesn't care that Yoko's there, right? But if he says something
Mhm.
slightly negative, then someone's gonna take that and run with it and be like, yeah, I know she shouldn't be here. And they got all these people yapping in their ears too, and they hear something and they run with it. I mean, it's the same thing. This still happens today with bands. I'm sure. So
I would like to say, now that we're at the end of the Beatles tier list, it was refreshing to hear everyone's different perspectives.
yeah,
Especially Sanders' take on Yellow Submarine. That was cool. I didn't
Yeah.
think of it as even as a soundtrack.
I
Not like
definitely
Parrish's take. It's not Parrish isn't like a huge nut slinger. I don't sit here and listen. This is what, and I'm like, holy shit! I never
Right.
thought about that.
right. Yeah,
And,
that's good.
and
Sweet, man. Well, thank you guys for listening to this Beatles tier list. I know it was a little longer than some of them because, look, they're an awesome band and we got a lot to say. But come back and check out more. We have more tier lists coming. We have a game show, Guess That Song with the Beatles and
we're doing
Queen.
penis
Yeah.
comparisons in the next one.
So come back, join us
All D
again.
tier.
We'll see you on the next video. Thank you guys.
I like when my mind is mad because I get